Okay, good evening, everyone. The time is 5:30 p.m. I would like to call our work session to order. Mr. Parker, could you please call the roll?
Yes. Ms. Daniels. Ms. Davis.
Present.
Ms. Green.
Present.
Mr. Jones.
Here.
Ms. Rawls.
Present.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Present.
Ms. Bowers.
Present, thank you. Just a few housekeeping notes before we begin. During the legislative session that occurred late last week, I was unsure of where Resolution 14 of 2024 and Resolution 15 of 2024 were to go. So I've corrected that action, and Resolution 14 of 2024 and Resolution 15 of 2024 have been moved to the Parks, Recreation, and Enrichment Committee. We're going to go a little out of order this evening to accommodate the Public Works Department. So we're going to begin with the Public Works Committee. I will defer to our Public Works Committee Chair, Chair Rodriguez.
Thank you, Madam President. Who will be joining us from the Public Works Committee this evening? I see Deputy Griffin and I see Director West, if you guys wanted to come up. Thank you for joining us. I see the rest of the crew in the back. Thank you for joining us this evening. We'll begin with the quarterly report. So Director West, whenever you're ready, you guys are good to go. Just as a reminder, please ensure the mic's cut on and we speak clearly directly into the mic.
Good evening, Council.
Good evening.
Tonight we will be presenting our fourth quarter report for the Department of Public Works. Public Works Department, which is led by Mr. Dave West, is comprised of 7 departments with one common goal: to serve the residents of the city of Harrisburg. To achieve this goal, Director West strives to provide a positive work atmosphere that fosters collaboration amongst all departments. These are the departments that make up the Public Works. Sanitation and lots, highway, the Vehicle Maintenance Center, Parks and Recreation and Sustainability, Parks Maintenance, Engineering, and Traffic. This is a small org chart of the managers of those departments as well. We will start with sanitation. Sanitation Department, managed by Kevin Jackson, Charles Appleberry, and Ron Wise, is responsible for trash and recycling pickup for all residents in the city of Harrisburg, as well as Stilton, Pembroke, and Paxton. Antoine Brown manages the city's vacant lots and also helps out when needed in other areas. Some of the goals for 2023 were to cut down on incidents within the department. Training was done with our fleet manager, who took all of our drivers around one of the trash trucks and on the highway side, their vehicles as well, to just get them familiarized with anything that they weren't familiarized with, as far as, fluids that they have to themselves put into trucks to use on a daily basis. There are some fluids that the truck drivers themselves are responsible to keep filled. So we just wanted to make sure that they were all clear and cut on everything they needed to know. We also did a training with the safety advisor for the city. His name is Chuck Baker. He works for Inservco, which is I'm not sure how they're involved with this. I think they're involved with the city's insurance, and it goes through HR.
In Servco, it's what's called a third-party administrator because we don't have really straight-up insurance. We're self-insured. You hire a company that's like an insurance company, and they administer your claims, they process them. That's who, if someone's car gets hit, they go to, we send them to Servco. And we've had a contract with them for a very, very long time for workers' compensation and now with general liability. So they manage all of those claims for the city of Harrisburg.
Mr. Baker, he comes in and does a, like a safety training with our managers and stuff. And we just asked him to come out to our complex and give us safety training to all of our drivers and employees out there at Public Works. We also wanted to provide efficient service to all customers and keep all the city lots cut and cleaned up. These are the numbers for the quarterly summaries for sanitation, municipal waste collection, and recycling collection. I'm not sure if you want me to read all those numbers, but they're in the packet if you'd like to go over them. And these are some of the numbers from our big ticket items for our year-to-date spend. I didn't want to put the whole thing up there. I just put some of the big ticket items up for you to review. I don't know if you want me to go over any of them or.
Sure, yeah. Did you guys provide any physical copies of the packets by chance?
I sent them to, Jared, Mr.
Okay, thank you.
I forget his name over there, but
Mr. Parker.
Mr. Parker and Mr. Humphreys there.
But yes, if you didn't mind, Deputy Griffin, that would be great.
Go over some of them.
Just briefly.
So, you can see that our disposal line item pretty much hit right on the money. We were $2,000 off of the budgeted amount in a good way. Recycling went over a little bit. Recycling rates went up on us mid-year, maybe even a little later than that, so we couldn't really plan for that to happen, and we just had to adjust and deal with what came at us. Other rentals, that line was, so other rentals, we had some things that were in the wrong line items that we had to move to this line item. That's why the number looks the way it does. We also rented some other equipment this year because we did a lot of different projects that we had never done before as far as paving wise and everything like that. So we could have tried to hide that number, but we did not. We just wanted you to see it the way it was. And
That also includes some of the rentals for the Broad Street Market.
I believe so, yes.
And part of that funding that we didn't use out of other rentals, we supplemented with miscellaneous contracted services.
Okay, but that does include like the tent, some of those items used for the market?
So the number that you see there, that the year-to-date expense, we let run that way so that in '24 we could budget correctly for it.
Right.
So that's why we did what we did in that aspect. Resident recycling cans pretty much hit on the money. We planned to get some new cans, and that's what we did. Resident trash cans as well. Equipment vehicles is a big line item for us. That's what we purchase trash trucks and other big ticket items with. And we purchased 2 recycling trucks that will be paid back with a reimbursement, but we needed the money up front to purchase those trucks, and we also purchased a trash truck as well.
Reimbursement through a grant?
Through a grant, yes,
Okay,
sir.
perfect, awesome. And then how do you feel the life holds up on the cans we use currently, the black ones?
I think pretty well.
Pretty well.
They're built well, and we use lifts to lift them up that are built
Do they
into
give
the
you like
trash
an
trucks.
expectancy, like a life duration?
They have the expectancy of 10 years, and they have a 10-year warranty. and under the company, which is called Rare Pacific, that we purchased them from, they will replace them, like if squirrels eat them and they're do type of thing, and they wear, if they
Just
wear
swap 'em out.
within that time, we swap them out. We wait
Awesome.
till we get a trailer load, we give them a call, and we do a swap at their convenience.
Does that include like the blue ones for recycle, or is that separate?
The blue ones have a 5-year life capacity, but the black toters,
10.
the 30, 60, and 90-yard toters,
Yep.
they have the 10-year.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
So down at the bottom of this slide, you see the reimbursement grant for the 2 recycling trucks. So vacancies in the department. Our recycling coordinator position is currently open. We have 2 MEO positions, we had 2 MEO positions at the time of this report. I'd like to report that one of those positions does have a start date, and there's one in backgrounds currently.
What is the MEO abbreviated for?
Motor equipment operator.
Thank you.
Sanitation enforcement officer position is a new position that we were waiting for ASME to approve. We have currently filled that position with an MEO driver that was currently working in the sanitation department.
Awesome.
Our community engagement and interaction, we took 2,620 phone calls in and 1,710 emails. That's just our secretaries, but we all, as managers, take phone calls all day, every day, handle those problems as they come at us, so we interact with the public on a daily basis.
What would you say the percentage is out of the almost 3,000 calls you guys take in that you have to actually have an action for? I know majority of them may just want information, but what do you would say the good percentages of calls where you actually have to take action on?
Probably about 50%, because there's again, as you stated, Councilman, there's a lot of calls that they just want information, but there's other calls that we might receive of, they say trash being missed, or they call illegal dumping, and we have to take action for those courses, and it's roughly in a reference of 50-55%.
Awesome. Thank you for that.
So I wanted to ask council, would you like to stop at the end of each department and ask questions, or would you like to ask questions at the end, because we have 7 departments to go through?
I think that's fair. I think we could go through it if council wanted to jot down any questions, and when we get to the end, we can just hammer it out then.
Alrighty.
Thank you.
We will now move into the highway department. This department is managed by John Watson, which covers snow removal, paving, demo, yard waste pickup, bulk, and blight pickup as well. Our highway department also fills in wherever and whenever it's needed throughout the city. Some of the goals for 2023 was to do more in-house paving than we have ever done before in the history of the city. We accomplished this by doing 21 paving projects last year.
Wow. Completed, correct?
Completed, yes, sir.
Congratulations.
We also wanted to keep up on leaf collection throughout the season. Demo as many properties as possible in-house. We did 21 properties, but 14 of those were in-house.
Awesome. And that, just to pause, just for educational purposes, the demos actually take place under your direction, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
The demolition department is on a department within the highway department, which comes out of neighborhood services budget.
Okay, thank you.
So that statement in-house that I just mentioned is something council will hear more and more from us in our reports in the upcoming this year and years to come.
The goal is to expand on in-house demo, because you can demo a property for $13,000 versus outsourcing for $30,000 to $40,000.
Absolutely, I agree.
So that's the aim.
And in-house is not only for demo, but for all other work within the city as well. We will be trying to do more in-house work instead of contracting things out. So we're focused on that very heavily.
Just so I'm hearing this clear, the goal, well, the objective, because we will achieve it, will be to be more sustainable in-house independently instead of outsourcing and saving some money and revenue for the residents.
Yes, sir.
That's correct.
That's a dream come true. Thank you, gentlemen.
That falls under the paving, like we did the 21 projects, which would have normally been contracted out, but we did all of that in-house,
Awesome.
demo in-house, and so on and so forth. So these are some of the quarterly summaries for the highway department, which was the bulk blight, yard waste, scrap metal, and tires that were collected throughout the city. I don't know if you want me to go through the numbers, but they're
No, I
in
think
the
that's-
packet.
I think that stands for itself. 4 tons of tires, wow.
So these are some of the year-to-date spends on the big-ticket items that highway would use. Demolition and clearing, we budgeted, $639,032 and spent $404,809.05. Miscellaneous contracted, we used that line item for some of the paving, as far as the milling contract that was put out to go ahead of our paver and mill the roads, and then we paved behind that milling company. Snow control, it's pretty much spot on. We're 6 cents over. Asphalt. So our asphalt line item within neighborhood services, it's like an overflow line item that we tap into after the state liquid fuels asphalt line item is used up. We switch over to this line item to complete projects that are left over.
And due to that line item as the asphalt line, for example, last year we had almost $1 million versus this year we have about $600,000. So it differs from year to year what we receive in liquid fuel funds, and we have to accommodate that with neighborhood services funds in order to accomplish the same goal. So that's why when we ask for the money that we ask for in asphalt and miscellaneous contracted services, we have to use that line for various amount of things that we do when it comes to paving and when it comes to snow removal, for if we have a storm that can overtake the department that we have to be able to have the money to contract out in order to maintain the streets properly. So you have to kind to over project versus under project of what you need to do.
Thank you.
Tools and hardware line item, we had plans to do a lot of this work, so we had to spend some money in that line to get our guys the proper tools they needed to complete this work. Demolition supplies, it's kind of the same thing. They needed some new stuff to get these in-house demos done, so we purchased the equipment they needed to get that done effectively. Miscellaneous supplies, that's kind of one that when you run out of money in another supply line item, we switch over to that line item and start to get what we need out of there. Miscellaneous equipment is also another line item that we purchase equipment through, and we like to purchase all equipment through like our heavy hitter line items, but when we need to switch over and get something, we go to miscellaneous equipment. So grants for highway department, we used the liquid fuels grant to purchase a new paver this year that we will be using for the 2024 season. It's a bigger paver. We're able to do a lot more than what our old paver was capable of. Vacancies in the highway department, all positions are currently filled, thanks to Mr. West.
And for the liquid fuels money that we have, that we were able to purchase the paver with, because we didn't have the money in our capital, and how liquid fuels goes is the line item that you have, you can use the money for various things as long as the bottom line is used of the total of the money that we have, we're able to use. So we took advantage of that to purchase the paver. So we did not have the money to purchase the paver in our budget. That enabled us to have the money to purchase, and we purchased to do more paving projects this year than we did last year.
And by investing in the proper equipment allows us to do it in-house.
Means a lot.
Correct.
Yep.
It means a lot.
Thank you.
We will move on to the Vehicle Maintenance Center, which is managed by our new fleet manager, Brian Schmiedel. We service the entire fleet of vehicles for the city of Harrisburg, with the exception of a few fire trucks, which are the really big ones that we really can't service in-house. So, department goals were to eliminate vendor use as much as possible and increase in-house work up to 100% if possible. Put the walls up in our parts room to keep inventory regulated. Sole source our equipment. This will save the city tremendously and give us the ability to focus on parts and accessories from one manufacturer. This is the quarterly summary for the Vehicle Maintenance Center. I don't know if you want me to read through.
Sure.
Okay.
Yep.
So the repairs done to Public Works Administration vehicles were 9. Sanitation trucks, they serviced 138. Highway trucks and vehicles, they serviced 60. Police vehicles, they serviced 94 police vehicles. Fire department vehicles was 2. In all of the departments, there were 41 vehicles serviced. We also received 10 2023 Ford Escapes for various departments throughout the city. And these are some of the bigger ticket line items that I pulled in to this. Other rentals, which are, we rent a trash truck, which comes out of this, and various other things used in the department. Vehicular equipment, vehicular equipment, which is, we know we purchase, is that for parts? Yeah, that's like parts used to fix all of the vehicles throughout the city. Comes out of this line item. Damaged auto body, if there's any accidents, we use this line item for the invoices that come back from the body shops. Tools and hardware, we had got 2 new mechanics, so we did need to purchase a few more tools this year to accommodate them. They have their own tools, but we have some in-house tools that we need to use throughout, like all mechanics would need to use.
It's called specialty tools that we must provide.
Motor fuels and lube, this is fuel for every vehicle within the city. That's why it's such a big number. Tires and batteries, of course, just for the repair of any tires or batteries needed. Vehicle parts A, which is also a line item for parts needed for various vehicles. Vehicular equipment, there's another line item for that in case that other one runs over. You kind of draw from that one as well. Equipment vehicles, that is just to purchase any vehicles needed, throughout the year that might come up. Lease purchases, that's what we pay to lease it. We lease quite a few vehicles, and that's what we pay the leases with.
Our lease vehicles are processed throughout the city, and the lease is through Enterprise, where we're up to almost $1 million in leasing vehicles, which will continue to allow the city to have vehicles of advance. Because before we got into the lease vehicle program, we were purchasing equipment, and we were using equipment for years and years and years, and it would be dire equipment that we were not able to replace or get any value for. And it was just a terrible program, because you had 10 different kinds of vehicles this way. When you sole source and you go one direction, again, as Austin stated, you're able to do your repairs under one equipment. And that's basically for all departments in the city. We try to purchase Fords. We purchase Mack trucks for our highway department. We purchase Mack trucks for our sanitation department. And that helps us to be able to sole source to purchase for service. You can purchase a piece of equipment of any type, but what's more important after you purchase the equipment is the service for the long haul. And if you service it and you have and you sole source and have one direction to go, it helps keeps your department afloat.
The reimbursement grant, that's for the same 2 recycling trucks. The,
Excuse me. Also with the, Austin stated that we're renting a trash truck. We're renting that truck because of the lack of recycled trucks that we have, but because of the lease program, we have purchased 2 recycled trucks that we will be reimbursed for. As soon as one of the trucks are delivered, it should be within a week or so, we're going to turn in the rental that we have, which cost us a lot of money. It will be a savings of monthly payments, which is about $9,000 a month currently, to a truck that was reimbursed that we're going to receive. So we'll save a lot of taxpayers' money.
Awesome.
vacancy update, we do have 2 auto mechanic 3 positions still open. One of those is he in?
One of them we'll have an interview for. I have an interview tomorrow.
I knew that was a recent update. We will now move on to parks maintenance, which this department is led by Bob Ferretti and are responsible for coordinating park needs with the parks maintenance team to ensure the parks are being cleaned and all equipment is in good working condition. This includes but is not limited to lawn care, cleaning up pavilions, and repairing park equipment such as benches and playground items. This department also assists with outdoor events, setup and tear downs for city-hosted events such as Capona, Fire and Ice, Halloween Bash at the Brownstone as well. And making sure any event hosted in the parks not by the city have the appropriate number of picnic tables, trash cans, and that the parks are cleaned out for the renters. The department goals for parks maintenance is to collaborate with the city arborist team to ensure city trees are taken care of and maintained, as well as dangerous trees taken down safely. This was done by checking in with the arborist weekly and checking the city tree forms submitted by city residents. The other goal was to assist with new maintenance that was required for the Chutes and Ladders playground, as well as cleaning pavilions that have been reserved in a timely manner to ensure the residents renting the parks had a safe, clean environment for their event. This is the quarterly summary for parks maintenance. There's quite a few items. I didn't even put them all in because it was a lot. Tried to trim down this a little bit, but they maintained all parks, playgrounds in the city, mowing, mulching, trimming, litter pickup, repairs of playground equipment, tree work, graffiti removal, fall cleanup, snow removal, wood carpet of playground pits, power wash pavilions, and cleaned the restrooms. Prepared sites for 148 permits, 22.74 tons of trash collected in the parks, 9 trees removed. Fall trimming and removal of leaves in the parks. Tree and brush cleanup of alleyways for the sanitation trucks to get through a little easier. Tree and brush removal for in-house paving projects. Pickup of materials for Broad Street Market project. Set up and tear down of city events. Wood carpet on all playground pits. Weekly litter and limb pickup in all of the parks. 11 emergency tree calls. Assist the highway department with plowing of snow during events.
I don't know if any of you are aware of, Council, that a couple of weeks ago, we had a snowstorm that came through our area, and it was only 4 hours. In the 4 hours, it did more damage than the storm that took 2 days. We had the highway department and park maintenance department, and during that time, we had to remove the snow, which came through very fast, but we also had 81 trees go down within that 4 hour period. So we had to go from the top emergency, which was to remove the snow to make the streets able for the residents to be able to drive and walk through. And then we had to go into a second emergency, which was we had to take 81 trees that was across the roads, that was blocking traffic, and we had to go into that mode. And the departments teamed up. We were here for about 13 hours to go from one emergency to the other. But that's the way the team operates within the departments on the neighborhood services. I just needed to present that because it was very significant. And the way that we operate, we're on the emergency situation.
So the year-to-date spend for parks maintenance, most of these line items hit pretty much right on the money. You will see that the overtime line item is a little stressed by 40,000, but as Mr. West just stated, there was a lot of trees down. That was only one event. There was a prior event where there was a lot of trees that fell as well. And also with snow removal when they get called out for overtime on that as well, that ran that line item over a little bit, so. Most of these other line items, they're kind of right on the money. I don't know if I need to go over them. Vacancies within the department. There's a crew leader position that was open. It was filled by an in-house staff member. There were 2 laborer 3 positions that were open. 1 position has been filled, and we have an interview for the other position already, so. We will now move to the engineering department. Engineering division led by Dan Snow is responsible for ensuring a safe and efficient transportation network within the city of Harrisburg. Quarterly summary. In the fourth quarter of 2023, several engineering construction projects were completed. This includes Mulder Square and the 4th, 6th, and Raleigh Street paving project. Furthermore, projects such as Capitol Gateway, State Street, saw significant design advances. Our permitting department brought in $101,200 in this quarter for a year-to-date total of $453,235. Those are just permitting fees and inspection fees charged by the city to people who apply for permits. Annual goal update. Complete functions of traffic and engineering division effectively and within established budget. The engineering division has made significant progress on projects and has performed daily functions in an efficient manner. Additionally, all operations were completed within the established 2023 budget. Develop and improve processes for specifications to ensure quality and value. The engineering division has prioritized improving processes and specifications, specifically regarding street cut permitting. To advance this initiative, a task has been included in the Open-End Engineering Services RFLOI package to begin planning. This RFLOI has been advertised in the first quarter of 2024. Promote a positive work environment to increase employee retention and productivity. Weekly staff meetings have been scheduled to discuss workload and any concerns that the employees may have. Employees are encouraged to maintain a positive attitude, and all managers have an open door policy and are willing to provide assistance. Year-to-date spend for engineering. As shown in the table to the right, all operations were completed within the total amount established in the 2023 budget. Remaining budget in this fiscal year 2023 was $412,539, or 12.5% of the total budget. And this also includes the traffic division as well. So for the engineering department, special projects and grants, below is a list of the major ongoing projects in the engineering department. Division Street safety improvements, which is in the planning stage. Hurst Street pedestrian improvements in the planning stage as well. City Bridge package is also in planning. That includes a variety of bridges throughout the city. Urban Meadows is in preliminary design. Capitol Gateway is in final design. The east-west connection is in final design, and State Street is in redesign. That little, this little table here is just a timeline of all of the projects that I just stated. I think we can send that to you so you can read it a little better.
Yep.
So department vacancy updates. City engineer has been filled. Project manager position is still vacant. Administrative assistant is filled. Engineering rep 1 is filled, and engineering rep 1 is also filled. Community engagement. The engineering division is in constant communication with residents and stakeholders throughout the city. Public meetings will be held for the special projects listed on the previous slide. We will now move to the traffic department. The traffic department is led by Veronica Lefevre, and she is responsible for 96 intersections, over 6,000 streetlights, and over 100,000 street signs. She also does all the road closures for all events within the city of Harrisburg. Some of the goals were to maintain all traffic signals throughout the city. This was done successfully throughout the year. Repair the street lights in Bellevue. These were all repaired. Troubleshoot problems with the street lights on Front Street. Figure out the problem and the needed money to make the repairs to be put into the budget for 2024. So the traffic department's quarterly summary is pretty heavy. I don't think this was even all of the notes that I had, but I tried to trim them down to some of the bigger ones. I don't know if you want me to read all of those.
Is I guess that would be a parliamentary inquiry. Neil, would we be able to post some of this information on the website? Some of the more longer, in-depth information, in case residents wanted to view it.
Sure, we often look at it just to make sure there's not something that reveals, like, that a driver had a particular injury or things like that. As long as we get rid of any personal information, it can go up on the website.
Yep. So I'm okay with longer, detailed stuff like that. We can kind of breeze by and provide it for residents if they wanted to glance at it on the website, according to the solicitor.
We'll send a presentation to Neil and let
Thank
him
you.
review it. There are 2 open positions in the traffic department as well, two traffic techs, and one of them has been filled. We will now move on to sustainability. The description for our sustainability department is: the sustainability at the city of Harrisburg is dedicated to fostering environmental stewardship, resilience, and equitable development throughout the community. Our goal is to create a sustainable city that meets the needs of current generations without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. To achieve this, we implement initiatives focused on reducing greenhouse gas emissions, promoting renewable energy, enhancing resource efficiency, fostering sustainable transportation, and engaging in community education and outreach. Through collaborative efforts with stakeholders, residents, and businesses, we aim to build and thrive resilient and equitable city for all. Department goals: greenhouse gas inventory and climate action plan, collaborated with Johns Hopkins University to complete internal and community greenhouse gas inventories, quantified the city's greenhouse gas emissions, laying the groundwork for a comprehensive climate action plan, progressed to seek grant funding for the implementation of a climate action plan. our sustainability coordinator is Danielle, what's her last name? Danielle Lewis.
And Ms. Lewis is right there to the back.
Is right there. So the quarterly summary for sustainability, the greenhouse gas inventory and climate action plan. During the fourth quarter, the sustainability team collaborated with Johns Hopkins University to successfully complete both internal and community greenhouse gas inventories. This initiative aimed to quantify the city's greenhouse gas emissions, providing essential data for the development of a comprehensive climate action plan. Following the completion of the greenhouse gas inventory in December of 2023, Johns Hopkins University will progress to the next phase, seeking grant funding to support the implementation of a climate action plan. Sustainability education initiatives. The sustainability team has maintained an active collaboration with the school district, particularly with Melrose fifth grade science class. Sustainable education sessions were conducted in the classroom, and the team secured a $5,000 grant for the Bluebird Society, from the Bluebird Society, to create Bluebird boxes with the children. Furthermore, the team has applied for a $30,000 DEP environmental education grant in partnership with the school district to further enhance sustainable education initiatives. We also put some of the recycling numbers in there for sustainability as well. Yeah. City of Harrisburg, recycling was 376.29 tons. Pembroke was 31.74 tons. Stilton, 51.14 tons. Paxtang was 23.35 tons in the quarter. Paper and cardboard recycling was 222.56 tons. Leaf recycling, a total of 135 tons of leaves were cleared during the fourth quarter, contributing to the city's overall sustainability efforts.
For the record, council, our sustainability department and our recycle department, because they coexist together, we have placed them together as the force of one department. We are working with Dauphin County, and we are administering a task team for the recycling and sustainability, not only for the city of Harrisburg, but also for the Dauphin County also.
Year-to-date spend, our sustainability department did not have its own budget to draw from this year, so. Some of the grants, there was a DP 904 grant for recycling operations. The DP 904 grant project, which supports recycling operations in the city of Harrisburg, was reported out on December 15, 2023. This ongoing project continues to contribute to the funding of recycling operations for another year, promoting sustainability within the community. Secured a $5,000 grant from the Bluebird Society to create Bluebird boxes with children. Applied for that $30,000 DEP environmental grant in partnership with the school district. And there are no other vacancies within this department. So I'd like to tell you about the sustainable education initiatives. Melrose Elementary School fifth grade class partnered with Harrisburg Sustainability Department to learn about bat conservation. Through this collaboration, students gained an understanding of the importance of protecting bats in Harrisburg. Bat boxes will be installed in city parks to provide habitats for local bat population. These boxes not only contribute to ecological balance, but also offer educational opportunities for students and their families to observe bats in their natural environment, fostering environmental awareness and engagement within the community. And I'd like to just show you a couple pictures of the kids interacting with our sustainability coordinator. which is Miss Danielle Lewis in the picture there. And that is the end of our 2023 fourth quarter report.
Well, Deputy Director, thank you. Very detailed. Really appreciate the time and effort your team put into the report. Director West, thank you for your time as well. One question from me would be the park maintenance team. What would be the possibility, since they set up for events anyway, of them helping with National Night Out? Or do they already help with National Night Out?
We do that
Gotcha.
currently.
Okay.
I was here 2 weeks ago, I think, or last week, the meeting, and didn't want to get involved with
No worries. I
what was
understand.
going on.
Yep.
But
Yep.
we do that currently.
Awesome. Thank
All
you.
events, including that event.
Perfect. So there is support.
Yes.
Thank you.
Definitely.
Awesome. I'll open it up to council. I'll start with my immediate left. Councilman Jones.
Thank you, Councilman Rodriguez. How are you guys?
Good.
One simple question for me. I see about the trees that can cause some type of danger in the community. There's one on 19th and State Street that kind of leans over. It looks very dangerous that it could come down. I wonder if you guys were able to, if you are aware of that, and if not, are you able to take a look at that tree and see what it could do? Because it looks like, I mean, I wouldn't even park my car under that tree. And if it falls, it's definitely going in the middle of State Street.
I drive past that tree every day.
So you know what I'm talking about?
It's between 18th and 19th and State in the middle of the block.
It's on the pole.
Yes.
And you're correct, it leans. Currently, because the tree has life, it's the homeowner's responsibility if they want the tree removed or not. It's just their responsibility because it has life. They might want it to stay there. It's part of their property, if I'm not mistaken, and
Under the city code, trees are responsibility, the ones on the curb are theirs as well.
Could you say that into the mic? Neil?
Yes.
Sure, under the city's long code for trees, it is the homeowner's responsibility, the curb, the trees, the ones planted at the curb as well, that they're all the homeowner responsibility.
So-
When they come over the road, sometimes that's an issue that we end up having to
That's
address.
correct.
But we have an arborist who assesses the health of a tree. I mean, that's how that comes up.
That's correct.
To make a determination if it's at
So-
risk or not.
So if it's, I mean, obviously, well, that's not obvious that it's alive, but even if it presents that type of a hazard, there's nothing the city can do about that.
So that's why we have an assessment by an arborist. If it's a hazard, the homeowner is given written notice to correct it and 30 days to correct it. And then after the 30 days, the city can do it and assess the owner for the cost of correcting it because it's their responsibility. Sort of almost the same as our sidewalk ordinances. But
Yeah,
we
I'm
do have
pretty-
professionals to assess it, and I don't pretend
So-
to know the difference of, until I see a tree falling, I can't tell you myself.
All right, so
You
that
know.
may be the question then. Was that tree assessed?
that we can have taken care of with the arborist, and we'll get back to you with the evidence of the inspection of the tree.
All right, thank you.
But I have a concern also. I watch it every day.
Well, you know, I know how the trees work. I had to cut one down in front of my house, right? But thank you. I have no more questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Jones. Councilwoman Ross.
Thank you, Councilman Rodriguez, and thank you both for being here tonight and everybody on the Public Works Committee and in the department. Very great report. Of course, I love the one with the bat boxes because it was about education and seeing how you all went into the school's sustainability and teaching them about bat boxes and how bats do help the environment, although they are scary, but trying to still protect them in their natural habitat. So thank you. I don't have any questions.
Thank you.
Madam President?
Good evening. I don't have any questions on the thorough report that was shared. Thank you. I do anticipate some, I think, in future quarterly reporting, just to follow up on some of the vacancies that you shared and the sustainability efforts. But thank you for the presentation this evening.
Thank you.
And Madam President, that was some of the positions and sustainability, correct? All right, thank you. Madam Vice President Green?
Thank you, Councilman Rodriguez. Thank you for your report tonight. It was pretty encompassing. I don't have any questions for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And Councilwoman Davis?
Thank you, Councilman Rodriguez, and thank you, Director West, and your team for a thorough report and for the work that you do.
Thank you.
Thank you for your prompt response to our citizens who call in. I'm one of them, and over the years, I've always got a prompt response, a callback, or something from your department. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
I was also pleased to see the sustainable education. I was actually looking for a bat box on that picture to see exactly what they look like, but I can't see. Oh, is that it? Oh, okay. Okay, thank you for that. That's very interesting. One question, how does someone register to rent one of the parks for an activity? Would they just call your office or email you? How does that work?
That aspect is on our Park and Recreation Department,
Okay,
which is Kevin here? Kevin, he's gonna have a presentation. He will
Okay.
be able to answer that question for you.
thank you.
Mhm.
Again, thank you for everything you do, and I don't have any more questions.
Thank you.
Right, thank you. Councilwoman Daniels?
Yeah, so I've been noticing that after our rains, we don't have like potholes or sinkholes, but we have like crumbling roads, like the road just like crumbles. And I don't know have we changed the materials we're using to repair our roads, or are the materials we're using not able to keep up with the kind of rains we're getting?
No, the deterioration from the roads, I don't know if you're looking at state roads or local roads.
City roads.
Okay, with the city roads, we purchase whatever that's being made from the asphalt companies. And there's a 9mm asphalt, there's a 25mm, which is a very larger task of asphalt. We don't control over how they make it, we just purchase it from them. And they make it for everyone, for the state and the cities as well. So I don't know about the material, maybe it's the deterioration from the salt, because as we use natural salt, so does other entities use natural salt, because it attacks the weather much better and quicker than using salt and anti-skid. At one time, there was a salt mixture with anti-skid, but it didn't work as quick, but you had the anti-skid for the roads where you didn't have the salt, 100% salt that deteriorates the roads very quickly. So that's why we have to keep up on the roads. And if we get reports, we have equipment now because we were able to purchase with the blessing of the administration and council to approve our budgets to purchase the equipment that we have. We have tar machines to be able to seal up all of that kind of stuff. So if we receive reports of that, we are on to set to repair them in that way, in that manner. The potholes, we take care of the sinkholes that belong to the city that doesn't belong to CRW. We pave our own streets now. We're continuing to go to the next level, which is the theme of the Public Works Office, to continue to maintain and be self-sufficient and self-reliant versus outsourcing, which costs us a lot of money.
So when these like crumbling events, I don't know what the proper name for them are, but they're not potholes, they're not sinkholes, they're something else. When that happens, residents should just call and report them the way they would report a pothole or the way they would report a sinkhole.
That's correct. It's just deterioration.
Okay, that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any further questions from council at this time? All right, gentlemen, I just ask if whenever possible, if we could follow up with Councilman Jones's request on the assessment of the tree on State, and Madam President, with some of the sustainability efforts and open positions, that would be great. And we have nothing left. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. We'll respond to those various asks immediately.
Thank you. Absolutely. And that concludes the work of Public Works. Madam President, back to you.
Thank you very much. We will now move back to the beginning of our meeting agenda. With the Budget and Finance Committee, I will defer to our Budget and Finance Committee Chair, Vice President Green.
Thank you, President Bowers. Tonight, the Budget and Finance Committee is going to receive a quarterly report from the Department of Budget and Finance covering accounting, purchasing, budgeting, and grant writing. See, we have Ms. Marita Kelly here along with Mr. Brian McCutcheon. So whenever you guys are ready.
Good evening, Council. Good evening, President Bowers, Vice President Green, Chair Green. We greatly appreciate your opportunity to present this evening. We're going to begin with a year-end summary of the fourth quarter, which is the end of fiscal year 2023. Brian's going to provide a summary of cash, revenues, and expenditures for both the general fund and the neighborhood services fund. It's just a brief summary. Go ahead, Brian. Thanks.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Marita. Good evening, everyone. Thank you, President Bowers, Vice President Green. In looking at this schedule, it's up on the screens, and I gave Mr. Parker a handout. I believe you have a paper handout. It's the same thing. The general fund is presented on this schedule. Oh, actually, you jumped it to neighborhood services. Okay.
Oh, did I jump to neighborhood services?
Yeah.
I didn't mean to. Let me go back.
Please.
Okay. Let's see. That's not going to let me do this.
So.
Oh, I see what you're saying. There it is. There it is.
Okay.
Sorry. Very sorry.
All right, no problem. Little break in attention. Oh, you did it again. Okay. The beginning cash position of the general fund.
There it is. I got it back. Sorry.
For 2024 is the 19.6 million. And just to back up, during 2023, the way that materialized, the city experienced net expenses over revenues of 3.5 million. So it was essentially on the cash basis, a $3.5 million loss, but that was much better than what the city had budgeted for the year. When you think about the AMBAC payment that was done about this time last year of 8.3 million, and the $2 million that the city anticipated for litigation related to the incinerator records review and subpoena, the city did much better during 2023. This schedule starts out, of course, as I said, with the beginning of the year, and I wanted to give everybody just an update. We're currently updated through, on this schedule, through the end of February, and it reflects the year-to-date column there is for the first 2 months. And the revenues versus expenses are essentially break even for the first 2 months of the year. And really what's driving that, our revenue, in particular for February, 8.6 million. That is not a typical month, and the main thing driving that is the city is now experiencing its flow of discount real estate tax revenue during these early months of February and of course into March. The real estate discount, yes, discount period for remitting real estate taxes. Down under expenditures, 8.2 is not, again, very representative of a usual month because the way the calendar fell in February, we actually experienced 3 pay dates, including check runs and payroll. So you have 3 hits during the month of February, which is why that number is so much larger than what took place in January. If down at the bottom of this schedule, the cash position at the end of February shows 19.36 million, and that compares to this time last year. It was up over 25 million, but what was on the horizon in March of last year was the AMBAC payment of 8.3. So if you would back that off, last year really cash was at a projection of 16.7 million. So you can see we're in a much stronger position this year compared to last. And also, I believe, as we go into March, the city has received through February, and again, discount real estate taxes, about 3.5 million. I anticipate we received, the norm is 12 million in total for the year, a little over 12 million. So I would expect another 9 million to materialize during the month of March. And there's no more GO debt or AMBAC payment on the horizon. And so my feel for the end of March as far as cash position is that we should be back up to the $23 million mark, which interestingly enough is where the city began its year last year at the start of 2023. So I think that's an encouraging cash projection. Now, on the downside, the city is still experiencing significant medical claim expenditures with our, mainly our health claims through Capital Blue. Through February, we're at 2.5 million, where we were last year at this time, it was 1.7. But there is a bit of an offset to that with the stop-loss recovery revenue, which we actually just went through a reallocation where we increased it up from 779,000 to 1.2 million we expect for 2024. That reflects that heavier hit that the city is experiencing in medical claims. That's the general fund. If I go to the neighborhood services fund.
I do have a
Sure.
question, that's kind of a question clarification. As we're looking at this, obviously it includes any savings of money that we didn't spend in 2023 when we're looking at our fund balance. But how much of it is encumbered already? What's our previous year encumbrances that would be subtracted out of that?
I should know this because we just went through the reallocation.
I feel like I should know it too, but it was a lot of stuff in there. So I don't know, is it the
But actually,
3.3?
yeah, our encumbrances that we rolled
Right.
into 24 were, I want to say around 3.5 million.
That's what I thought, but I think it's
Yeah.
3.306. So that's what I'm looking at here, but I just wanted to make for sure.
That's
So we'd subtract
right.
that out of the 19 to bring it down to about 16 if we look
Right.
at things that are encumbered.
Right, to get a budgetary fund balance look, correct.
All right, thank you. That's the only question I had there.
No problem. So neighborhood services fund is made up, there's the main fund, which houses the public works piece and sanitation and the parks maintenance piece. There's the intergovernmental municipalities, the three boroughs, Steelton, Pembroke, and Paxtang, they're reflected there. And there's the older funds that still have lien-related revenue activities, so we show them separately. The old sanitation fund, the old disposal incinerator fund. So here you see cash from the beginning, and this is 2024. Starting this year, 6.1 million, and now we're down to 5.8 ending cash position at the end of February. And the look on that I know is not very good, but again, I reflect back to during February we had those three pay periods and those 3 check runs. So if you would factor back, and I mean an average of those 2 items and factor back one of those, actually, if we only would have experienced the normal 2, we would have had a positive 327,000 by comparison. It's almost a flip of what you're seeing right there. So that fund is performing stronger, and in February also is the first month of the effect of the 10% increase in sanitation billing. And when I looked at those receipts comparing to where we were last year, the increase, it's in the reasonable ballpark. It's 8.9% over February of 23. So that's just reflective of that rate increase that the city moved forward.
Thank you.
Thank you. Before we move on to the presentation, I do have another, I guess, kind of question, comment, thought when it comes to the general fund balance. So we're also looking to pull about 5 million from the fund balance for F&B field and different things. So then that would take us down to about 11 at the end of the year if everything stays on schedule. but then we're looking to get some of that reimbursed back. And obviously, this isn't over 1 year. We're not going to pay the full 5 out, right?
It's right. I mean, there's various pieces that go as far as going in and going back out. But how we evaluated that based on the encumbrances and the budget that's been appropriated on the fund balance side for, and like you say, that's in addition to what we have in the budget. The encumbrances was an add-on.
Right.
That number, it is significant. If I don't expect, the city you never really seem to realize what you think you will spend actually occurs during the year, which is why we always have open encumbrances at the end of the year. But when it brings the cash down significantly, under 10 million, and based on all those expenditures happening, we evaluated that against our fund balance policy, which is 5% of total expenditures for the year, and we ensured that based on that we are still maintaining a level that's above that 5%. Did I answer your question on that?
You answered my question.
Okay.
Obviously, just in the position we're at, always looking at our fund balance and trying to make sure we don't dip too low. And so that's just something to keep an eye on as the year continues to move on. But that was just I was just looking at it and thinking about it. So thank you.
Sure. Just lastly, just an update for where we are on various reportings. The city has already accomplished submitting required filings with DCED for our tax information form. We do, on an ongoing monthly basis, we report to DCED specifically on the general funds activity with budgeted information. The financial audit for 2022 is also still underway. We're making progress through that, and what my plan is to complete that and to move right into the financial audit for 2023. And there won't be as much of a pullback or a learning curve this year that affected us last year relative to the new Munis system. The audit committee in relation to the audit has been scheduled to meet first time this year, later this month. And there are also various pension filings we do with the Auditor General that are due the end of March. Mainly annual reports for certain for police and fire, and also a roster type submittal that covers all 3 pension plans.
Thank you, Brian.
Yep.
May I proceed with the Department of Budget and Finance milestones for the fourth quarter fiscal year 2023? Thank you again for allowing us to present today. The Budget and Finance employee complement is, we're nearly at full complement. Good news is we did have an individual accept the position for financial analyst today, and they will start in 2 weeks. Actually, less than 2 weeks. They'll start on the 18th of March, and he will be running right into the updates to the ICA report, which are due in early April, and actually is due the General Assembly and the Governor and the General Assembly on April 30th. That'll be submitted by the ICA board. But we are at full complement. Then, as you can see, the breakup of sex and race also provided for you. Department of Budget and Finance is responsible for the city's overall fiscal management. This includes the management of all governmental funds, the accounting for all assets, the production of the annual budget, and purchasing for all financial activities. Further, includes oversight of the annual audits, including the management discussion and analysis, which Brian prepares on behalf of the city. The accounting office manages the accounts receivables and accounts payables for the function with the city. Obviously, the treasurer does the majority of the accounts receivables, but he does the journal entries to record those properly. This office also oversees the financial management reporting and the preparation of the comprehensive report. The budget office is responsible for the development and distribution of the annual budget document. The office also prepares the mid-year budget report, which usually is presented to you when you come back from your summer break. And this includes the status of all revenues and expenditures in the form of a presentation to the mayor and city council in a city council meeting. The purchasing office manages all procurement for the city, including materials, supplies, services, and professional services, and the office also assures equitable distribution of the purchases. The fourth quarter report to the city council obviously scheduled for today, and the first quarter for the 2024 report will be presented to you in early April. Tyler Technology on our municipal migration, I thought it was important to update you on this. The Department of Budget and Finance continues to work with the IT department to migrate the general ledger software activity for accounting, budgeting, asset management, and purchasing. These past 12 months have been crucial in the training of all city departments on the munis purchasing practices. I will say my team has not only done in-person training along with IT, but we've also developed videos for all this training. The finance staff also conducted financial management report writing training, which will also be in the form of a video for the individual departments. The capital fixed asset system, which Brian spent an extraordinary amount of time, and Hillary chimed in there as well in terms of the inventory, and this has been fully implemented as of early this week. Along with, we hope to commence the capital improvement plan, which I'll discuss in a few minutes. The ERP municipal report writing is still available for new staff and those needing for additional training. So we'll continue to be training on profit and loss statements, which we call revenue and expense reports, balance sheet reports, and all financial management reporting through the ERP system. The total spend for the department is $713,420, with $510 being the expense for wages and benefits. We also spent a significant amount on consulting services, which included our ARPA consulting services, our auditing services, and some other general financial management services. This is a brief summary, a little hard to read, but it basically tells you exactly what I said. The $510 for wages, 93 for the audit, 24 for some other consulting services, for a total of $711,419. Here are the goals that we have set forth for 2024. The first goal is the capital fixed asset municipal module, which again I said Brian and Steve Bortner and the individuals who were training from Munis did an excellent job. Finance team members will continue to implement the new general fixed asset system as we move through the year now that we're up and running. The new budget module includes fixed asset management as well as inventory and work order management within Munis. This will promote improved management of these disciplines within the finance for the city. Budget and Finance will continue to meet with various departments to implement the new inventory and work order process system. The following bureaus have an inventory tracking process in place. To be honest with you, vehicle maintenance has taken the lead, and they actually have had individualized training, and they have some computers, and we're working with some other departments to move that forward as well. But VMC kind of really stepped up the plate and did a great job. These bureaus continue to develop an inventory tracking method that tracks all capital fixed assets and non-capital fixed assets, which is something that City Council has asked us to get a better handle on, and I think we've been able to do that with this new ERP Munis system. The inventory alphanumeric tracking number assignments for the capital items. So you'll see these little serial numbers on all computers, and those are our tracking numbers for inventory. IT has been mostly responsible for those. The information is updated and spreadsheets are available for review. The second major goal was the preparation of the annual budget for fiscal year 24 and 25 as we prepare for 25 and develop mission and goals as council has asked for more responsible performance management, and we believe by developing the mission and the goals this will assist us. We had some training this past week that the budget director, Mr. Brooks, executed. The budget manager managed the entering and maintaining of the budget, revenue expenditures, personnel, and capital asset data for the 2024 budget. Each operating department will enter its own operating expenditure budget information, including capital, in 2025. We are still hoping and waiting for the human resource system to be up and running in Munis. It's not quite there yet. We're praying it'll be there before the 2025 budget because it'll greatly assist us in our collective bargaining management and our management position information. The departments will meet with the budget office to finalize the operating budget entries, and the budget staff will review and confirm the data that was entered. This is the next big piece, which we've talked to you about, and we've received approval from you just 2 weeks ago. The Department of Budget and Finance issued a request for proposal for capital improvement program, a 5-year capital improvement program development. This was awarded to Reynolds Site Logic IQ and was selected to execute the CIP plan. Our first meeting is sometime next week. The plan, we're still finalizing that date. This plan will help to develop and manage the multi-million-dollar pool of fixed asset infrastructure that the city currently owns or will own. The primary objective is to develop a strategic 5-year capital improvement program. The financial stability and long-term planning are key to assuring capital resources are properly monitored, managed, and executed. Improved execution of timed infrastructure will provide the necessary roadmap for future implementation. One other thing, as Brian mentioned, is that he does have to present every month and every quarter on the DCD Strong Plan updates. So the Department of Budget and Finance provides the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development with quarterly updates for the Act 47 Strong Plan. Department of Budget and Finance is preparing for the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development Strong Plan update for the first quarter of 2024, which will be due in April. This includes detailed financial operating updates to the department, and which is solely prepared by Brian, so he does a terrific job with that. The department continues to provide information to DCD and the ICA throughout the fiscal year to keep both oversight boards current on any new relevant financial management information that occurs throughout the fiscal year. The ICA General Assembly report is coming up here in April 31st. Is due to the General Assembly. The Department of Budget and Finance is responsible for updating the information for that report, as well as preparing a new report for August 31st, which would be the City of Harrisburg's 5-year financial plan that we must submit to the ICA. Last year's plan was approved on the 26th of October. Likely that'll happen again sometime this fall. This report to the ICA includes general fund revenue and expenditure reports, neighborhood services revenue expenditure reports, state liquid fuel revenue and expenditure reports, and other minor fund reports. These reports include revenue and expenditure forecasts for all funds. The information includes a 5-year history of both revenue and expenditures and related forecasting data. The ARPA program reporting, I'm responsible for sole reporting of all the programmatic reports. The fourth quarter report was filed on January 22nd. The first, second, and third report and fourth quarter report were filed for the city with the federal government, and we are all current on all those reports. And the Department of Budget and Finance will assure that the United States government has all the programmatic reports that we will be executing. Also, as you may know, that Rebecca Vollmer, our grant manager, and Tracy Fountain, our assistant grant manager, have been extraordinarily busy, even this early in the first quarter, and definitely busy in the close of last year. Here are just some of the grants they continue to work on: the CDBG CV, which is some of the leftover CARES Act money. They're still working on multiple city projects through that program. We were able to attain $13 million thanks to Ms. Vollmer's dedication and hard work and prestigious efforts. She also works with police. We met with police on Friday for the PCCD LLES and gun violence intervention grants. Those I think you heard a great deal about last week, so I won't belabor that point. DCNR has the C2P2 grant opening here in April. We're working with our parks folks to see exactly what we might continue to improve our efforts in terms of grants there. DCD current grants, I think you heard Mr. Griffin explain the multimodal east-west connection, which is Chestnut Street, connection and the funding for that, and the Urban Meadow extension, which is where the new federal courthouse is. We're improving the walking, cycling pathway to the new federal courthouse, which, as you know, is recently opened. The grant team is working with the engineering staff to determine progress and additional funding. Ms. Vollmer has a TAZA grant in for the east-west connection, which we're waiting to hear from the federal government for traffic study there. RACP, good news, RACP FNB Field was approved to the extent that we were assigned through the Office of Budget, a consulting firm from Tetra Tech, which, with luck of the Irish, since it's St. Patrick's Day week, we are able to have the budget office pay for those consulting services and not the city as part of our FNB, RACP effort. So we were very, very impressed that we're able to move so quickly with that FNB effort for RACP, because anyone that knows the RACP program, it's slow and not as exactly quick, but this is actually quick action, so we're very, very pleased with our consulting firm that assisted us with that. And then the gaming grants for 2023 were announced. We did receive money for the City Hall improvements, and we are gearing up in a steady way with Ms. Vollmer and Ms. Fountain to gear up for the 2024. Last year was the highest participation in the Dauphin County gaming grants, and they anticipate this grant to be even more aggressive. And then finally, our community engagement largely was in the month of December, when we had the multiple budget hearings as directed by our chair through her leadership. And we helped present and provide those public hearings so that there was ample information to the citizens of Harrisburg about the budget profile that we set forth. And then each quarter we'll continue to present as we're presenting tonight. We hope that this is useful, helpful, and we try to be as thorough and informative to you. And we're trying to be somewhat brief, but I realize it does take a little time to explain these somewhat complicated financial details sometimes. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your presentation. I think it covered everything for me, so I don't have any questions. I'll open it up to my colleagues. I'm going to start to my far right with Councilwoman Daniels. Do you have any questions or comments?
No questions.
Thank you. Councilwoman Davis?
Thank you, Councilwoman Green. Thank you for presenting a thorough report. I don't have any questions.
Thank you.
Thank you. President Bowers?
Good evening. I don't have any questions. Thank you for your report.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Rawls?
Thank you, Vice President Green, and good evening to you both. Thank you for being here tonight and your thorough report. I don't have any questions.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Councilman Rodriguez, any questions or comments?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for your report, very detailed. I have no questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you. And Councilman Jones, any questions?
No, I don't have any comments or questions. Great job.
Thank you, Councilman Jones. Thanks very much for your time. We greatly appreciate it.
Thank you again for being here tonight.
Glad to be here.
Thank you.
And I believe that is everything for the Department of Budget and Finance.
Thank you. Next, we will move to the business of the Building and Housing Committee. I will defer to our Building and Housing Committee Chair, Davis.
Thank you. Is there someone here for Building and Housing to present? Hi, this evening. Do you have a PowerPoint presentation?
We do. It's three
Okay.
slides.
Okay, yes. Go right ahead when you're ready.
Councilwoman Davis, if I'm not mistaken, Bill 2 needs to be read into the record prior to their presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Parker. March 5th, 2024, work session of the Building and Housing Committee to discuss Bill 2, 2024. Bill 2, 2024 is an ordinance amending Title 8 of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Harrisburg, known as Building and Housing Development Code, at Chapter 8-107 by the adoption and incorporation, the 2018 edition of the ICC International Property Maintenance Code, amending further by the renewal, modification, or enactment of certain amendments to the code through Title VIII and other provisions of the codified ordinances, providing for the modernization of certain notice provisions, specifically providing for electronic notices and communications, adopting graduated fines for certain recurring code violations, providing for certain penalties, providing for additional matters to be subject to instantaneous citation, authorizing city reliance on certain registration records of the Pennsylvania Department of State and the United States Department of Treasury, providing for service and delivery of city-issued notices, citations, and other communications with any person subject to registration or reporting with those agencies, and otherwise provided for technical amendment. Thank you. And
thank you.
you're welcome. You may proceed with your
Good
presentation.
evening, City Council. I am
Good
Ann
evening.
Montgomery, Harrisburg City Code Administrator. I wanted to start out with saying thank you to the Law Bureau for their deep dive into being able to present this to you. It was 24 years they had to go back to all the amendments and ordinances and pull all that out and get this ready for you. This proposal is for the adoption of the newer version of the Property Maintenance Code, the 2018 International Property Maintenance and Amendments. Our current property maintenance I don't know if that was sorry. No, you didn't do anything wrong. Everybody's woke.
Usually seems that.
Okay, thank you. Our current property maintenance ordinance is long overdue for update. Using the 2000 International Property Maintenance Code for the last 24 years, and which was never available in a digital format, has become dated. With the Munis conversion, it creates the perfect opportunity for us to update to the 2018 IPMC. And the rest is, the Law Bureau will speak. Neil?
Thank you, Ms. Montgomery. This actually is really the city's step into modernizing its code system in a variety of ways. Tiffany Baldock, Emily Farron, and myself each spent significant time in our office going through the history to get to where this is. We spent significant time meeting with the mayor on her preferences and how she saw the future and what some of the deficiencies were, and spent a lot of time with Ann and Bruce Henry, her deputy, trying to get to where they were trying to go with their system. There are certain things worth noting for the public because there really are changes procedurally in what's going to happen when you get cited by codes under this code. One of the great realities of the codes office is it's very hard for enforcement right now. People get a notice, it goes to the district justice, they may or may not get a notice for a hearing, they may not accept service, and until we have a hearing, there's no fine set, because only a judge can set a fine under our current code. So there is no consequence for a very, very long time to ignore the city. And so it takes an awful lot of effort just to get them into a courtroom. That being said, there's also been questions at the district justice level, who's responsible? Under the International Property Maintenance Code, it's always been that the responsible person, it didn't matter if they owned the property, they managed the property, whoever was responsible for making sure that property be maintained or repaired, the city had the power to cite that. One of the early things in this ordinance is a direct acknowledgement by the council in its intent is that it's not just the owner. It's from line 79 through 86, where it's any person, just as the property owner says, whoever's responsible is going to be held responsible. It's not going to just be a property manager saying, I have nothing to do with it, and being able to walk away clean and not run the property they're being paid to manage. If it's the property manager, it's the property manager. If it's the owner, it's the owner. But we need the flexibility to enforce. And that is what the property maintenance code, while it says that, the district justices weren't seeing that. They were seeing owners as the responsible party only.
Yeah, so my question would be, are we saying now that codes will have the direct authority to do this versus, the fines, no, or it still goes to the DJ?
So there are going to be now what's instantaneous fines on 6 different categories, sort of like a parking ticket is.
Got you.
If you pay your parking ticket, it's $30 in Harrisburg, right? If they have to send it on the DJ, it's suddenly $50. So there's going to be an opportunity to have to pay your ticket. They're going to implement a ticket system with a ticket book for these.
Now, that doesn't change tickets. We're talking about codes. I'm thinking of parking. I'm sorry.
Right. But I'm saying it's the same model.
Right.
That's the model. So right now, a citation in a parking situation is when you don't pay the ticket.
Got you.
You get a ticket, you don't pay it, it goes to a citation, it goes into the district justice system, and then you get a notice from the DJ, and the fine goes up within 10 days.
So are we working with any district justices because a lot of the times, again, I think in our last session, we talked about where people look at codes and think that they're not doing anything, and it's just that limitation of them issuing that citation, and it goes to the DJ and ends up getting whatever thrown out or whatnot.
Well, part of this is to help modernize that. That's what part of this that doesn't exist yet for the city is. And then there's conversations with the president judge of the county, with district justices, with the other members of the county on enforcement in various ways. There is a push, and you can't, and push is a persuasion that it needs to be, enforcement needs to be stronger in order to have people comply. And at least the theory is when you get to start enforcing against some people, other people comply more easily if there's actually going to be a consequence that they can see people have for ignoring their obligations.
So again, I just want to know if I think you did just mention that you would be working with not only the president judge, but certain district justices in this instant. Now, does that still fall into certain DJ's districts, depending on where the citation is written?
Well, that's a question up for grabs, frankly. Right now it does. That we had a housing court before, and the question is, will some version of that come back again? And that will simply, be a determination with the courts and the city working together. It has to fit not just the city's needs, but the county court's budget as well.
All right.
And so that's not an instant solution, but there has been a request to reconsider reinstituting a housing court of one type or another. When we had it before, I think Ann could speak to it. I think it was 2 days a week we had housing court, as opposed to our folks being over 5 different DJs, offices, right, any day of the week, any time of day. So people knew where and when to come. And so, the hope is to move towards something to that degree again.
A more centralized place.
But that is not solved yet. That's a bigger picture question on the court's management and our ability to work with them on it.
Gotcha. Thank you.
One of the things that Ms. Montgomery wanted us to do when we did the research and put it into this bill is to provide at times that electronic notices will satisfy, but provided the public with an opt-out provision that if they don't want to receive electronic notices, they can opt out, and there'll be a form provided to do that. But right now, notice is the great way to duck responsibility, to say, I never knew, I didn't get it, and you might have, it never came back to the city. It's been sent 7 times.
Paper.
Right, paper does it. We've posted the building sometimes, but electronic notice, once it's in the system, will be able to satisfy a number of the files. Some will still require posting the property, but for a lot of the communications, we're allowed to, right now it doesn't say we can send emails, we can send notices electronically. This is to give them direct authority to set that up and do it. There are 2 different changes in this on fines. One is to do what we said about the fines for certain violations, making them subject to just want to get the right lines. Subject to a staggered fine system. So it's instantaneous fines, but for example, some of the fines for these 6 categories, the first fine is $50 if for the violation. The second fine is $100. The third is $200, and if they're, as long as they're in the same 12-month period. So essentially, it's not that it's coming back every day, but we try to get you to fix it. We try to get you to fix it. You're going to know and have noticed that it's going to keep going up if you don't address it. And so, and that, like parking sometimes, does help people comply when they know there's actually going to be a price to pay. If they don't do it, and if they ignore it, that price is going to go up.
What's the time frame?
Right now, I think we give 10 days is what we do.
10 days for the citation?
Yeah, before we get the citation. So now we're taking the same model we have and moving over.
Then it moves up to 50.
No, it's 50, 100, 200 on the one set of them.
So where I see here, if a repeat offenders though, but I'm saying if they ignored the first notice, so they had 10 days like a parking ticket, for 50, it shoots up to 100.
And the third one is 200. But they're considered each a separate violation. That's how you're treating it.
And that's within a 12-month period.
Within a 12-month period.
I got you.
So Codes is not in the business of trying to generate revenue at the end of the day.
I got you.
They're in the business
you're trying to get results.
Trying to get people to take care of their property.
Self-correct. Got you.
So there's also 2 new registers that are timely coming into place. One through the Pennsylvania Department of State Corporation Bureau, which is now an annual report for a whole series of companies and partnerships in Pennsylvania doing business here, where they have to provide an annual update. One of the things this does is let the city of Harrisburg take by notice that those filings are going to count as a place that they can be served electronically or physically with required court documents. So they're going to have a place on record in Pennsylvania. There's also a national one in the U.S. Department of Treasury for certain financial institutions. Very unlikely we'd use it, but sometimes we have a larger corporation in the city that just is ignoring us, and that will be a place where they have an annual filing they have to put in. And this ordinance would let codes rely upon that location, that notification that this is where their headquarters are, this is their place, that will count as serving them under our ordinance if we use the address that they have reported either to the Department of Treasury or the Department of State as their place or place to be notified about their business. We have many, as you know, out-of-state property owners who are very good at ducking. Right.
My next question.
Right. So they have to report as well, and the idea is to use this, and it'll take a while. It's not going to be instantaneous for the city. There's be forms that'll be developed. There'll be a sort of regulations that have to come through codes. Our regulations right now, the most robust set we have is through the tax office, but this will lead to regulations and codes as we improve the enforcement provision. But because we're modernizing, it's going to take a little bit to get the rest of it there. So there's authority in here. Whether all the authority can be immediately used will depend on how fast we can get regulations. They'll be able to rely on the technical part of the 2018 code to cite people and tell them what their obligations are. But the actual enforcement part, that may take a little while to get going as we develop what's needed in terms of forms and documents and ticket books and things like that.
Does this put any extra strain on codes officers?
I think we don't know the answer to that yet.
Well, it's a strain to us when we can't get somebody to end up in court and, have our case. And so I think it's going to be all positive.
Okay.
And the digital version, codes officers are now going to have a handheld device, which right now it's all paper. And that's going to help, I think, in a lot of ways, keep it more efficient moving to the 21st century.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Does that complete?
Yes, if there's any questions and.
Does anyone, I'll start with my right.
Sure. So can you walk me through the legal foundation for the opt-out notice?
So basically, we're making it a law in the city of Harrisburg. We're trying something new. I mean, because there's not a clear, because our laws, are very old, There was an electronic notice back when they were first written. We're adding electronic notice, which other federal agencies have done, and we're testing out the opt-out provision for doing it. So basically, we wouldn't get to electronic notice unless we had a clear indication it was their email address. That clear indication, the hope, comes from the registries that they file with the state and the federal government, as this is their location to receive notices, and we are putting it in there. Will someone test that? Maybe.
Is there any case law supporting the ability to do that?
At the federal level, there is. There's many places that have electronic
Can
notice.
you give example of agencies that have been able to do that?
I can pull those up for you, because we had looked over a while. So there's lots of places that have electronic notices.
But usually, whenever there's electronic notice, people are participating in something.
Here, they're participating in applying for a building code permit, a landlord license, a residential real estate registration here. So there's lots of potential things they participate in. And, you know, if we add that to our forms, we take it from the registrations, and in the forms, when they apply, we will have to provide notice about opting out. But it has to be developed. I mean, first they have the authority to do it, which they don't have right now, and then you make it comply.
Right now, we send certified mail and regular mail, and the certified
I
mail is like $7 and something. And
yeah, I understand that. My concern is just the legal foundation for doing this, because the least stringent notification that I'm familiar with is first-class mail, and even that is, you know, I mean that's been acceptable, but that's like the least stringent. So to see an opt-out, I think maybe developing an opt-in electronic notification might be a stronger foundation. But so that was one. And then are there any kind of substantive changes in terms of like the property maintenance? Or is this just procedural? Most of all of this procedural?
The new 2018 Property Maintenance Code, it does go into more detail, and so it doesn't give those gray areas where, you know, it could go one way or it could go another. So the 2018 is more descriptive, and like the fire code has more robust in it, where they're requiring more smoke detectors or carbon monoxide, which was not in the prior 2000.
Okay, so I remember a few years ago there was discussion about elevating the exhaust from heating systems because our snow falls were getting taller, and they were blocking the lower vents. That hasn't been changed at all in the 2018.
It has not been. No.
Okay, so it's the same. Okay. Can you give a few other examples of substantive changes to the?
Yeah, it gives more detail, chapter 3 on unsafe conditions. It goes from 1 to 6, and then interior structure, it talks again about unsafe conditions. So it's giving more detail and description on structural issues and so on.
Okay. And then right now I feel like as a city we often have competing goals. So like sometimes code enforcement will have like one goal, you know, it might be safety, but then like we on the sustainability side, we might have a different goal, which might be, I don't know, managing stormwater. And sometimes the goals kind of conflict. Did you work with other departments as you were thinking of updating this so that our citywide goals are more cohesive?
Yeah, I don't see any issues with other departments with this. I mean, it just goes into more detail. It's not like going to conflict with stormwater. That's not something that we look at, you know. We look at drainage off of the parcel itself, but not into the streets and that type of thing. That would be city engineer, I believe.
Okay, that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilwoman Daniels. Councilwoman Green, do you have any questions?
Thank you, Councilwoman Davis. I don't have many questions. I guess, I don't know if this is possible, but anyway, we could just get like a list of the changes, like so I can easily look over the changes, whether it's between the codes and then also like the ordinance, like the updates in the ordinance.
It's challenging. I have a spreadsheet that's, I think, 96 pages long, because what we tried to do is go backwards. Because, and I will give this to codes over the years, a lot of the things that are in the new published book and this law, which is what this is, that's 47 pages, supplements that book. The book is the main thing they use. The book is not available in a digital format. So we were trying to put it in a digital format very slowly in our office. It's not fully digitized at this point, and in a searchable way. But much of what was added over the years ended up being added to the published book. So the city, I don't know whether that came from the group of association of codes people's meeting, we added chapters over the years in our ordinance that ended up being part of the norm, which is now in the 2018 book.
Okay.
So why, like in this particular ordinance, it's the same as always. Whatever is underlined is new.
I know that, but it's a lot of underlined. Is there like, can I just get the spreadsheet?
We can get you the spreadsheet. It's how absorbable it is a question.
Okay,
But
I guess what I'm looking for is just like something pretty clear and concise of like what's underlined. I mean, I know I can read what's underlined, but just kind of like a more of a bullet point
our
format is
office
just
can
easier
prepare
to
a
read.
bullet point report for the council that lays it all out. That what the major changes are.
Okay, that would be very helpful for me.
So.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Green. Councilwoman Bowers?
Thank you. I don't have any questions. I'm happy to know that this will assist with the modernization of code. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Councilwoman Rawls, questions?
Thank you, Councilwoman Davis. Sorry. I don't have any questions. I just look forward to seeing us move forward with this and seeing that we are trying to move forward in the future with trying to migrate the system, make it easier, but also holding some of our landlords and property owners to some tougher standards and penalties to keep our community looking beautiful. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilwoman Rawls. Councilman Rodriguez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just kind of echoing the sentiments of Madam Vice President, it would just be good to be abreast of the different changes laid out, even if we were pulled in 2 different sessions, so we're not violating the Sunshine Act, just for the education of it, so we can make like the best educational decision. That would be phenomenal.
And if that's what the council would like, we're having a second work session with more information, and however the council wishes to do it. I do agree this is a substantive. You don't get normal things this substantive. This took an awful lot of hours in our office to go through. I'd like to know when that stuff leaves our brain. We spent so much gray matter learning the property maintenance process to write this. But we will happy to have other meetings however the council wishes. I just ask that either the council president or the chair let us know how they want us to proceed.
Thank you. And Councilman Jones, questions?
Thank you. I have no more questions. I think I asked enough. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Green has another question?
Yes, I guess this is more on the technology side. When we're talking about the instantaneous citations, will codes officers be able to print them instantaneously, or are they still going to be like handwritten? How will these be issued?
We're not there yet.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
All right.
So.
All right. That was my only question.
We know that the police have just sort of moved to the one handheld, And the question is, how long will that be in place, and can that be modified with another set of code information? And can we get more? But I mean, all of those are decisions to get made, right?
Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. This concludes my report and the presentation for the Building and Housing Committee.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, City Council.
The final committee business that we will hear this evening will come from the Parks, Recreation, and Enrichment Committee. I will defer to our Parks, Recreation, and Enrichment Committee Chair, Chair Rawls.
Thank you so much, President Bowers, and good evening, everybody. First up on the Parks and Recreation and Enrichment Committee are our quarterly reports. And we're going to be starting with the Department of Parks, Recreation, and Enrichment. Is there anybody here to deliver us a quarterly report? Good evening. Please state your name and your position with the Department of Parks and Recreation and Enrichment for the public. Good evening, Mr. Sanders. Thank you for being here today. We are here with open ears to listen to your quarterly report.
Excuse me, Mr. Sanders, can you use that microphone a little bit so we can hear you?
No,
No, can you move it
Yeah.
you're
closer
gonna have to get it
you?
closer. Yeah. There we go.
Thank you.
I think a little bit close. Sorry, they're very finicky. Sometimes they. Yeah, it is.
I don't think so.
No.
Switch the mics.
Try it again, Mr. Sanders.
Let's start. All right, got it.
Okay.
It's not working. This one's working. Let's talk about Parks and Recreation. Is that good?
No, it's still a little low, a little closer to you.
Let's talk about Parks and Recreation.
That's better. You might, and stay at that tone. That's good. And I didn't mean that in a way of saying like you were being disrespectful, but like the height of it. Sorry.
I'm just going to summarize the slide. Parks and Recreation is responsible for providing events and programs for the residents. We do after-school programming, summer programming, movie nights, Halloween bash at the Brownstone, Winter Wonderland, and many more. And go to the next slide is the quarterly summary. The first thing is park rentals. I'm just going to answer the question that was asked earlier for Public Works as it pertains to Parks and Recreation. We have people go to the City of Harrisburg website, go to the Parks and Recreation page on any of our Parks and Rec page in order to obtain a park rental. You'll go into what is called the recreational portal. You'll set up an account that normally takes anywhere between 45 seconds to about a minute and a half to set the account up. And then you'll proceed to the process to do a rental. That'll take about 5 to 8 minutes, give or take. We recommend that people use a computer or a pad of some sort, not their cell phone. Cell phone will take much longer to navigate through the software. And basically, they have to go through the checkout process, and then we will review it, and we'll get back to them generally within 72 hours or less. So this past year, we had about 530 reservations. That's everything in the system. That includes programming and some day-to-day things. So the number is much higher than maybe what may be perceived to someone who's not actually following it. We put everything on the calendar so that we know what's going on, even just if we know some people just the Brownstone internal. So that is taking up the reservations plug. The events and programs we've expanded this year. We had held 12 events and programs over the entire fourth quarter. An average program attendance of 30. These were a lot of new programs that were offered indoors. And one of our key components there is obviously attendance and or who signs up. We're working on some projects, and we did some planning and some researching as well. During the 2023 goals that were reached, we're expanding our summer program. We reached that goal. In some areas, we may have went a little faster and expanded a lot quicker than anticipated. We also increased programs in that area as far as like Art in a Park. We've been able to expand that from the summer program, and we've been able to really pick up from the conversational Spanish program into different age groups. And again, one of the things is a lot of these programs, this is the first time rolling some of them out, and then some that we've had high attendance or we've had high requests, we've kind of turned around and rolled them right back out in some sequence of events, as long as we have the schedule availability. Top 3 year-to-date spending, miscellaneous expenses. This account was used for purchasing equipment, for program supplies and other program support. Miscellaneous contracts in this time frame basically is to pay for the teachers and or companies to help run some of the programs and other park services. And advertisement is something that we've really started to get more into with our banners and promoting our events. Just reiterating on the projects and the grants, planning design, teams currently working on Wilson Reservoir Park, Sunshine Park, are being evaluated for renovations. Wilson Park and Reservoir and 7th Radnor and Gorgas are on a different timeline. Sunshine Park will be presented shortly with Hall Manor Pool. Will be coming back down to council to present that. And I will be using the ARPA funds. Chutes and Ladders, we're working on some minor updates. And then we're going to try to get the sidewalk numbered, finished this year. We did unfortunately have a situation with the double slide was vandalized a few weeks ago, so we had to remove it, and we're in the process of getting some quotes on either to repair it or to have to actually replace it. We're working with our DCNR partners on 15th and Vernon and another location as well, also in Allison Hill at 15th and Swatera. Our current vacancies, our Parks and Rec Assistant Manager position, we're recently just gave an offer, and then the last Park Ranger position was filled in October. Our community engagement is seen here during our movie nights, African dance, Winter Wonderland, Halloween bash, conversational Spanish, and fishing day. That's just some examples. And thank you. Nope.
Thank you, Director Saunders. I'm just going to see if any of my council members have any questions. I'll start to my far right with Councilwoman Daniels. Do you have any questions?
Yes, have you updated the city? Has the city updated its permitting process and its permits?
The permits itself are the same park permits.
They have not changed.
But we updated our process with the rec desk a few years ago. I don't know if I answered your overall question.
I think, Mr. Grover, do you have another answer? Do you, Mr. Saunders? Thank you.
So there was just a filing today in the U.S. District Court on that ongoing dispute with the organization that is challenging the city's permitting process. And the city is defending itself and its permitting process. In that case, we have asked for a jury trial. We don't believe we have discriminated against anybody, and we believe there are facts in dispute, and we intend to defend it fully.
And that's it for me.
Thank you, Councilwoman Daniels. Councilwoman Davis, do you have any questions?
Thank you for your report, and thank you, Councilwoman Ross. I don't have any questions. Thank you.
You're welcome. Vice President Green?
Thank you very much, Councilwoman Rawls, and thank you for being here tonight, Mr. Sanders. I don't have any questions.
Thank you. President Bowers?
Thank you. Good evening. I don't have any questions. Thank you for your report.
Councilman Rodriguez?
Thank you for being here, Director Sanders. No questions from me.
And Councilman Jones?
Yes, thank you, Councilwoman Ross. I have a couple questions about some of the programmings coming up that you have planned. Are any of them targeted towards our at-risk youth, and are you partnering with any nonprofits that's already working with those populations? That's one of my questions.
So our current program, as it pertains to youth, is our evening after-school program. And some of the programs are, they're not necessarily geared that way when you say at risk.
Yeah, of course, you know, I've worked with you over some years working with at-risk youth. I think it's important, again, because, you know what's going on, and I don't want you to put other children in harm's way, but we do have to try to find some other programming outside of just the normal nonprofits to give our youth something to do and during the summertime. I think finding creative ways to attract them, like basketball tournaments, things of that nature, to try to curb some of the stuff that's going on in our community. I mean, I know it doesn't fall solely on you, but I think trying to offer some of those things in our community would be very helpful. So if there's anything I can do to assist in that area, you know, we can have a conversation and see what I can do to help in that area, if that's okay.
Okay.
My other question is, Reservoir Park, some of the painting of the courts. Are we going to repurpose or redo the tennis courts? I think, again, these are some things that we can attract some of our youth to start being more active in Reservoir Park instead of just the basketball court, like repainting the lines and things of that nature, trying to, you know, beautify that area again.
Yeah, I think in the interim of time, we can do that, because we're not going to be able to do a renovation as we are with other projects. So we could probably do some minor upgrades.
Okay. All right, that's all. No further questions. Thank you.
Thank you. No,
I'll
you're
be in
welcome.
touch.
Yes, just to answer some of your questions, I do know last year when I talked to Director Ross, she said she would be repainting the basketball courts. I think she did try to fix some of them up, so I do think she's on board with also the tennis courts. I know that's one of her big things, is to continue to make sure Reservoir Park is presentable but also enticing for people to want to come and do sports there. And the second thing was about I also agree with the basketball tournament, and I think that it could have been Director, her last name's going right now, but Chardin, Director of the CSA, she spoke about a basketball tournament the last time she was here, and I'm not sure if Director Ross was either, but I've heard of a basketball tournament as being an option, so.
We had worked with one that had been at City Island. There had been some resistance to do it, I think, in some of the community areas, only because of space.
Okay.
You talking about basketball?
Yeah.
Oh, they said
outside of the natural playing surfaces, like, because they were talking about bringing in lots of teams, not to, you know, where it's team after team after team at Reservoir.
Oh, okay.
I think they were thinking wider as opposed to what we actually have.
Okay, so I think we could definitely work on that and get something, because there used to be tournaments up there all the time that were pretty huge during the summer. So I think that we could definitely find a way to rotate it and still have some productive tournaments. But did you have something else?
Yeah, for you. Who was that you said about the tennis courts? Because again, I just think
Director
that's
Ross. She's head of Parks and Recreation.
Sasha.
Mhm.
Okay, all right. Yeah, because we ride past Marshall, and it's beautiful, those courts up
They
there.
are.
And I think I might go up and run up and down it a little bit if we can get it.
No, I know there's some maintenance, definitely updates that we do need to make. I agree with that. But I appreciate you coming and both of you working really hard on. I have seen a lot of increase on the projects and events that you've had over the past year. So thank you. Does anybody have any other questions?
Thank you, Councilwoman Ross. I don't have any questions, but I want to also highlight what you just mentioned, that I've noticed a lot more activities for the children over the last couple years compared to prior. There was nothing really going on. So I've been really happy to see that there are a variety of activities going on for the children throughout the city. So thank you for your efforts.
Yes, thank you for those kind words, Councilwoman Davis. Well, thank you so much for being here tonight. That concludes your quarterly report. We really appreciate the information you gave us.
Thank you.
Next up on Parks and Recreation and Enrichment Committee agenda is going to be a quarterly report from the Department of Facilities and Special Reports. And this will be an update on the Broad Street Market and any other information they would like to give us. Is there anyone here from the administration ready to give that quarterly report?
David Baker's here.
Thank you so much. No.
Good afternoon, Council. My name is David Baker. I'm the Director for the Facilities Department for the City of Harrisburg. I think we need a computer up here. I can show you the...
You have a slideshow, okay.
I could draw you pictures.
Well, if we were playing charades, that would be...
My slideshow's quick.
Sorry for the pause. We'll be back in just a moment. Sorry, musical chairs. Musical mics, actually.
Does this one work?
Yes, it does.
All right.
Take us away. Go ahead.
All right, so this is Department of Facilities reports the fourth quarter 2023 budgetary quarterly update. At the bottom there, you can see there's kind of our mission statement. But in a nutshell, really, our mission is to support all of the other city entities to continue, everything working on a fairly as smooth as possible operational, keep going. We have facilities all over the place, whether it be in green spaces or in more of an urban setting. And it's really our mission to just kind of keep it all up and running as safe as we can. All right, next slide, please. All right, hit the space bar again. All right, so this would be our summary here. The summary, this is kind of focused on the Broad Street Market temporary tent building. These are some of our larger hard costs. KCS Electric and Yesco, they have put in a bid for the work at the tent. They've done all the electrical out there. As you can see, the total's $97,573.52. That is including all of the discounted rates that we have gotten from Yesco. The electrician was lowest bid for that particular job. McClure and Company has completely volunteered their services to do all of the plumbing work needed at the tent. They're currently working on it. They should be done very shortly. It will most likely be this week for all of the preliminary rough-ins, and then they'll have some small work to do, after the fact there. But again, the majority of it's done. We've gotten quotes to have this same work done for all the way, north of $200,000 for certain contractors giving us the quote. So between RF Fagers, who has supplied all the equipment and our materials, and then McClure and Company, they're really doing us a good service here. And doing this work. And just while I'm on the volunteer side of things, in the bottom left picture, you can see one or two individuals from the city there, and then we also have the Carpenters Union that did all the framing in the tent completely free of charge. We just bought the materials for that as well. And there has been a lot of public outreach and a lot of people wanting to help with this project because it's very, very community-based out there. You can see the HVAC 2-year rental costs in there, and then the tent rental cost itself in there. Go to the next slide. All right. So here are some of our annual goals, and again, a lot of these are just larger goals, but the Public Works bathrooms, you'll see in more detail, and in further slides, a little more detail about some of these things, but we have to get some drawings and then some architectural engineer drawings, so then we can follow them. We'll go out to bid to actually have contractors come in and remodel these bathrooms. I think they were original with the Brenner building itself, and we'd like to get them up to today's standards. So that's one of our goals for this year. The access control, that would be all the security throughout all the city facilities. And again, we're still kind of seeing supply chain issues with a lot of this kind of technological hardware. So, the stuff we would like to get done this year. And as soon as they get it in, it's all in the books, it's all ready to go. Some of it's 3/4 or even 90% complete, but we just have to finalize everything there. The mansion porch, that is an ongoing project. As you can see, we're definitely going to be complete as of 2024. When we started that project, as council's aware of, we kind of opened up a Pandora's box there. There was a lot of rot and decay due to animal and weather, so they had to go into more depth into that project. But good news, this year it will be complete. And the public safety building fire panel, which again was probably original with the building, that has been completely upgraded. So that's a great safety increase throughout that building. And then the brownstone HVAC system has been completely replaced and upgraded to today's standards. Next slide, please. All right. So here are numbers for the Public Works bathroom. So this first number would be for like the consulting side of things, so we can actually get the plans and all the ADA measurements and the layout that we're going to need for that project. The MLK fire pump replacement, it's a mouthful. In the middle, we put a picture of a fire pump, so you guys kind of get the idea of the size of that. This is just a generic picture. That's not what we actually have. You can see the cost of that, and that has been completed. The mansion roof, again, you can see the cost there on the left. There's a picture of the mansion. That is an old slate roof. The slate tiles are actually sliding off of that roof just randomly, so it's definitely a safety issue I had to deal with. And then the mansion porch, Again, we talked about that, and here's some numbers on what we're facing to actually redo all the custom millwork that was on that porch. And on the right, there's a shot of one of the bathrooms in Public Works. It's kind of the nicest one they have. So, next slide, please. So here's some of our special projects. So again, we have pictures of like conceptual ideas for the police station down at the bottom. Obviously, the Broad Street Market picture currently, and then the F&B Field current picture. You can see all the numbers that are tied into all these different projects. If you want me to, I can read down them, but just for sake of time, you guys can see what these are. And then if you have any further questions, please feel free at the end. Next slide, please. All right, so our special events department, they do an amazing job. They run all the city events throughout the, well, all the special city events throughout the year. And the last two events we did in the fourth quarter of 23 would be the holiday parade and the New Year's Eve parade. There's some stats down there on these parades, but then the very last slide will actually show you some video clips from both of those two events. We also, well, I don't want to get ahead of myself, so let's go to the next slide. All right. Turn the volume up. So this is our holiday parade. We broke it. And this would be our first ever New Year's Eve glow party we had for the kids in this building. So we had balloon animals, face painting, candy giveaways, there's games. And this is by far the kids' most favorite part, is popping all the balloons when they fall. And that concludes my presentation for you.
Thank you, Director Baker. I'm going to see if any of my fellow council members have any questions. I just want to say before that, thank you for the events and the hard work on the Broad Street Market, especially that I know it's been difficult, but I think that all the volunteers and the community support have definitely been wonderful. And the Glow Party was a great end of the 2023 edition. I heard great things about it. So thank you. And I'll start here to my far left with Councilman Jones.
Thank you, Councilwoman Ross. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
Good, good. First question. Some of the money that was raised for the Broad Street Market, where has that gone and how was it applied?
So all the money raised for the Broad Street Market goes to the market itself, and I believe they've used it for all the operating expenses to this point.
Okay. The next question, when the RFPs go out for some of the work, the projects that you have coming up, how can some of our local vendors be notified when these go out? Where can they look at to try to even apply to that? It would be great to see some of our local vendors be a part of some of the things that are happening here in the city.
Yep. So as soon as we put an RFP out, our RFP process, we put it out on PennBid, and any contractor who's qualified to apply is more than welcome to go on to PennBid, and they can, do the whole application process. And if we have contractors that are interested and they have certain trades, they're more than welcome to contact us as well, and we can let them know if we have anything that is in their field of work too.
Briefly, can you give me what some of those qualifications would be?
Sure. I mean, typically we'll put things out for PennBid if it's, let's say, a demo project, or if it's an electrician needed for a large-scale electrical project, or any of the specific trades, then that's the type of individual obviously we'd want to come out to PennBid. Depending on the size of the project, they'll need to be bonded, or certain types of insurance. It all depends on the scale in which we're putting the project out for.
All right. Last one. Have you did any shopping around for that? What type of material was on that roof? I mean, is it regular shingle, or did you do any shopping around for that? I mean, that's a pretty big price tag for that roof.
Yeah, so the cost of the roof, a lot of it has to do with the fact that it's slate, and we're not putting on period-specific slate to replace it. It would have been 5 times that cost. So we're going to put a standing seam metal roof on there. That's going to give us the most longevity for that specific facility. It should be 100% for well over 50 years.
I was going to ask how long was the lifespan of that?
That's going to be, other than slate itself, because slate has a very long lifespan. A standing seam metal roof, unlike an ag roof, like an ag steel roof, is going to have just about the longest lifespan you can get in the industry.
Just for personal knowledge, how long has that roof currently been there, and is there holes in it now? Is this why we're replacing it?
The slate roof has been there much longer than I have record of, but yes, it does currently leak. And as I said, the bigger issue than the water is more the fact that the hangers that hold the slate in are releasing, and then you have these large sheets of rock sliding off a 2-story building and falling on the ground. So, and we have our kids out there for all our summer programs and everything else.
All right. Yeah, I like the glow parties too. So I don't want to feel like I didn't notice any of that, but that was pretty cool.
Yeah,
I think that was phenomenal. But I don't have any further questions. Thank you.
Sure.
Councilman Ross.
Thank you. Councilman Rodriguez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My questions were geared towards the PennBid for the RFP, so no further questions. Thank you.
President Bowers.
Thank you for your presentation. Thank you for sharing more of the city side related to the Broad Street Market. It was reported today in the news by the communications director, Matt Maisel, that the tent may be completed by the end of the month. Do you think that is an accurate reporting?
I think it depends on your definition of completed. Could we get vendors in there by the end of the month? It's possible. We do have some hurdles we're still going to have to get through. Hood vents are probably going to be our last one. The plumbing was a huge one, and as we've seen, McClure came through for us. Electric was a big one. I think the governor's office came through us there as far as being able to acquire the transformers, the step-up transformers we needed, because that was something that was just non-existent to find. So there's been a lot of no way it's going to happen, and it's happened for this project. So I don't want to say we're going to 100% get in by that time, but it's a possibility.
Mm-hmm. I just hope that it wasn't premature reporting, as has been since the fire. So I just hope that if that is the case, that's wonderful. I'm sure everyone will be very excited to welcome those vendors back to full functioning capacities. But if it isn't the case, then I would just caution Mr. Maisel in continuing to mislead the residents and members of the public on when the tent will be in operation. Thank you.
Thank you, President Bowers. Vice President Green.
Thank you, Councilwoman Rawls, and thank you, Director Baker, for being here tonight. I appreciate all the work that you and your department does. I love the events, especially the Glow Party. I think that was a really good asset this year. I don't have many questions. One is just when it comes to the Broad Street Market. I'm just interested in what's the involvement of our Director of Equity and Compliance? Is he involved in the meetings when it comes to acquiring some of these vendors or making sure we're getting it out to some of our small minority-owned vendors so they have the opportunity to participate as we're working on this project?
So we've put 2 bids out there total for this project. And then the plumbing bid originally, you know, we've got that back a few times, but ultimately the only bid that's gone out there that we've gotten back that we're actually paying for is the electrical bid. You know, I do believe that we put it out there and we let every one of our contractors, you know, no matter what, know about these bids that are going out. As far as the equity and compliance officer, I'm not sure what his involvement would be with the process, but I do know that we let all of our contractors know. Our electricians that we typically use for the city are minority-owned businesses, and whether or not they show interest in there, I don't know. I just can tell you who puts it in for pen bid and what we see as far as grading goes.
All right, thank you. I will say that moving forward, I think it's important for us to have that office a little more involved, just because the city itself was very vocal when it came to the courthouse and not having someone there to advocate for minority-owned businesses. So for us to have an office in-house, and he himself said he was not very involved or hadn't been in many of the meetings.
Yeah, they're open
so I think
meetings,
it's important for us to make sure, maybe sending an invite out just to make sure he knows the times of them. I think it's important for us to make sure we have the advocacy, you know, just moving forward.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Green. I also agree with that. That was something we spoke about the last meeting when he had his quarterly reports, and just making sure that he is involved in those meetings. Like you said, they're open. That's great. I think just making sure whenever you do have them and not putting any blame on anybody, but just saying we have an equity department for that reason, to make sure they're in on the special projects that we have, so they're able to say, yeah, we have these people, or we have these residents, or we have these businesses, minority businesses that can do this work. You may not have known that, but you know, here's a list or whatever that conversation could be, but just making sure he's a part of those meetings. And you send the invite, he doesn't show up, that's not on you, that's on him. But just knowing that everybody is included in the special projects. Councilwoman Davis, do you have any questions?
Thank you, Councilwoman Rawls. Thank you, Mr. Baker.
Sure.
I just wanted to ask you to spell out the site where the RFP contractor jobs can be found. Is that pen bid?
Yes.
Then N?
Yes.
Okay, PENBID. Okay.
Yeah, it's a .com right now.
Two N's.
2 N's, but it's a .com.
As in Pennsylvania, it's PENNBID.
PENNBID.com.
.com. Okay.
Thank you. I just think that's important for everyone to know, especially the citizens. Thank you very much. No further questions.
Thank you so much, Councilwoman Davis. Do you have anything further for us, Director Baker? Sorry.
I think that's it at this point in time. I think we're going to go over some more stuff here in a few minutes.
Right, with the resolutions.
Yeah, and if I missed anything there, you know,
So on the Broad Street Market, the construction manager RFP is on live.
I'm sorry, can you speak in the mic now? I'm sorry, Mr. Grover, Solicitor Grover.
So on the main building at the Broad Street Market, the construction manager, which is going to be the person who carries the load for the city, that RFP has gone live now.
Oh, yeah, I knew what that meant. I'm sorry, but yes, thank you for clarifying.
But it's out there to be seen, it's out there posted, it's taken a lot of work to get it from point A to point B. That is really the big project. I mean, that is a significant financial undertaking.
So, okay. So once again, just hoping everybody's a part of the meeting for that. for that undertake of saying who gets that bid. I don't know the whole process after that. I know it a little bit, but just once again, making sure people.
So the actual contractors will flow from that.
Correct.
Right, the architect will flow from the, I mean, all
Right.
that will flow now from some bringing in a company that manages large construction projects. And I think Dave would agree with me, this is a very complicated one because of its historical nature.
Right, but when that person is picked per se, there's an interview process, there's a point system, correct? I think you said that before.
Yeah, we grade everything.
And who's usually in on those meetings when you do the interview or you do the grading and the point system? Is it just one person doing the point system, or is there a few people? And if there's a few, who would those people include?
So typically, can you guys hear me with this?
Yes.
So we typically try and have individuals that are dealing with the project or that understand the parameters around the project. And if we can, have as much diversity in that group as possible is what we try and do. And then we always try and get an odd number of people, if possible, to do the grading for these projects. So it's never like a set, personally, this person has to do it. But we'll take like our project manager, or if the solicitor will be part of it, or our city engineer, or the BA, or whoever it may be. I mean, there's different people all the time for the projects, depending on what they are.
Okay. Okay, thank you. No, I don't think anybody has any further questions. Go ahead,
Just
sorry.
kind of have a comment just because Solicitor Grover brought up the fact that it's open. It opened today, and it closes on March 19th. So anyone interested will have 15 days to look at that and submit if they're interested. So the construction manager, construction manager service bid opened today and will be open until March 19th at 11 p.m. That's a close date.
Thank you for that, Vice President Green. Okay, well then we'll move on to our resolution. Mr. Parker, can you please read Resolution 14 of 2024? 2024 in, sorry.
Yes. Resolution 14 of 2024. A resolution authorizing the city of Harrisburg to negotiate and enter into a professional services agreement with Alexander Building Construction Company to serve as construction manager for certain City Island improvements and facility upgrades to the city-owned stadium presently known as FNB Field.
Thank you very much. Is there somebody here from the administration to give us more information on this resolution?
I do believe we have at least one individual, if not multiples, from Alexander via Zoom.
Yeah, we have a representative from Alexander Building Construction, and then from Resolution 15, we have a representative from Ewing Cole. They're both participating virtually as they're on the screen now.
Okay, Director Baker, could you start us off by stating your name and your position, and then giving us an overview of this resolution?
David Baker, and I guess Facilities Director for the City of Harrisburg. Which resolution would you like to go over first?
We're going to go over Resolution 14 of 2024 first, please.
Okay.
Which is Alexander.
All right. So the resolution for Alexander would be for the construction management firm, I guess, resolution for the F&B Field project. Their job would be basically oversight of the project's entirety. They would be working with all of the, the prime contractor, subcontractors, and just making sure everything continues to work as it's supposed to, timelines, budgets, quality control checks, and lots more that they can really go into detail with you.
Thank you very much. So then, Alexandra Building Construction, is there anybody here from there to go over this more with us with Resolution 14 of 2024?
Sure, good evening. We're here.
Okay, thank you. Can you please state your name and who you work for, and then give us some more information?
First off, so my name is Terrell Davis. I'm with Alexander Building Construction. I'll be the project manager at this point for the project. Sami is.
And my name's Dan Flickinger, project executive with Alexander Building Construction, so I'll be working with Terrell and the team.
Good evening to you both. Thank you. Continue.
So I'm not really sure what questions particularly you have in mind here, so we're happy to answer your questions here. But I do want to make a clarification. It is pinbid.net, not .com.
Thank you so much for that. Well, you can start off, do you have any information that you want to give us first? And then usually our questions come from maybe information you didn't state and that we would want more clarification on. So I'll just give you the floor first.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't have anything prepared for tonight. I think we were made notice of the pending award here a week and a half or so ago. They knew this was on the agenda for tonight, and they asked us to come to be present. So we don't have anything to present to you tonight. Our proposal was received by the city and I'm sure reviewed by the office. So we can, we're a contractor, a construction manager from the city. Our office is still located within the city limits, so we're glad to be working in the city. We do a lot of construction management work all over the state through our various offices, but it's always nice to have a project close to home here. So like I said, we don't have anything prepared. We're happy to field some questions if you have them. I think you guys may have a copy of our proposal. So if you know something that jumps out at you, you're welcome to give us a question or two, but we did not prepare anything for tonight.
Okay, thank you.
I think something to note is that Alexander has done projects similar to this.
That was going to be my question. What projects have they done similar to this? What were they that they've done similar to this project with the FNB field?
Sure. So, I mean, part of our proposal response included our corporate resume of projects that fit this similar project. Probably the most relevant, I mean, I personally have worked on some stadiums. I've not been fortunate enough to work on FNB Field, but I did a bunch of work at Beaver Stadium at Penn State, worked on some other sports facilities, so we kind of get what those projects are all about. We do have another gentleman who's not with us tonight that's part of our team from our sister company, works out of our Allentown office, but he just did these almost identical Major League Baseball renovations at the High Valley Iron Pigs. Is actually finishing that project as we speak. So he is part of our team, will be part of the team that moves into this project. But it was a similar, home team, locker room, club renovation, club team, visiting team renovation. So that's a big part of why we proposed him as part of the team, because he's going to bring some of that knowledge and understanding of this type of project to this project.
Thank you very much. I don't have any further questions. I'm going to start down to my right with Councilwoman Davis. Do you have any questions?
Thank you, Councilwoman Rawls. Thank you for being here this evening. I don't have any questions at this time.
Thank you. Vice President Green?
Thank you. I don't have many questions. I guess more just about your firm and some of the work that you guys have done. Do you guys have a standard MBE, WBE rate that you look to hit when you do these type of projects, when you do large-scale projects in the area?
Go ahead.
So I don't believe we actually have a particular standard that we identify as say this is our goal for each particular project. I know specifically for this project and for the local school that we just did for CHS Harrisburg, so Catholic Hershey School that we have. Can you hear me better now?
Yes.
So company-wise, we don't have a particular target that we go through and we publicize and say this is our goal to hit every single project. We do make valid efforts every single project to get participation, just so we believe in the diversity and just being equal employers here. For the FNB field, in correlation with the Catherine Hershey School, which is right here in downtown Harrisburg, we have been reached out to a lot of local contractors.
Uptown Harrisburg, I'm sorry.
Okay, Uptown Harrisburg. I know I've spent the last month and a half reaching out to a wide array of DBA companies in Harrisburg, Lancaster, York, and Allentown, finding contractors who may be interested in this project, who typically get overlooked, that I want to invite to the table. So we're making a valid effort. We don't have a certain percentage here, but we do have a goal to have representation. Answers your question.
Yes, I think it answers my question for the most part. I think the city also has a list of MBE, WBE vendors. I don't know if you've gotten access to that. If not, it'd be great for us to share that information. And then also, very important to me is also local participation because, Lancaster, York, it's not Harrisburg. So as far as our target to really increase local participation, I guess, what's your plan for that? And in my mind, that might even include training. As if you say we don't have the people available, this is not going to be a 2-month project, so how can we get people available?
Yeah, so one of the things that we've already begun to do is that we do have the city of Harrisburg's list, and I've already contacted the majority of people on that contact list. One of our goals of which we intended to do, once we get more information from the architect and have an actual bid date identified, we wanted to maybe host a program, host an event where we're going to invite some local contractors out here to educate them on what the city of Harrisburg is trying to do at FNB field. So we actually have a valid attempt to get contractors involved.
Okay, I appreciate the plan. I would love to see an educational component built into the plan so that we can kind of help to develop some of these companies as well that might have the ambition but don't have the resources or the knowledge. And I know the last time that there were upgrades to the stadium, they were very poignant in making for sure that there was that education component to help create some of these minority construction companies. So I think that would be great and leave a lasting impact in the city of Harrisburg. So thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you so much, Vice President Green. President Bowers?
Thank you. Good evening. I just wanted to review the timeline for the construction and renovation schedule. I believe the duration of the project is supposed to be 285 days, and the targeted end date is February 25th of 2025. Is that accurate for everybody's?
So,
yeah, I mean, I can comment. That's kind of what was shared with us during the proposal period. I think our understanding is that it needs to be up and running for opening day 25. So we have some time built in our planning. I'm sure you and Cole can comment when we get to the next stage about where they're at with finalizing design and whether those timelines will all come together. But the intention is to be complete for the spring of next year.
Okay, thank you. I don't have any other questions.
Thank you very much, President Bowers. Councilman Rodriguez, sorry, I'm like.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
You're welcome.
Just, I guess, more of comments. You had made, I guess, a statement, pretty much like they knew we were coming. They knew. Who's they?
So I guess we've been working with the Special Projects Department. I think our main contact has been Hillary Green through the solicitation process. So they reached out to us and intent to award. Mentioned there was a council meeting tonight and asked if we could attend.
You are aware council would be the body to approve it, so I just think you could have put a little bit more into the presentation. A lot of us are seeing you for the first time, have no idea, and even your previous statements just made you like it's a short thing, like when we get to the next stage.
No, fair enough.
I just think the community deserves to know who and what is coming into the neighborhood. That's all. Those are my statements. No further questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Rodriguez. Councilman Jones?
Yes. How are you guys? Similar to my colleagues, I have the same sentiments as far as not just the contracting opportunities. Will there be any employment opportunities for any local residents in the community? One of the things we typically see continuously happening in the city of Harrisburg with a lot of these projects coming in, and the local people in the community aren't sharing in. And not getting opportunities to get gainful employment. And this, again, for me, from a public safety stance, I'm really a deep believer in an employment can change the trajectory of someone's life. It can put the man back into the home as a protector and a provider. Something like that. They won't be more likely to go out and commit crimes if they had a living wage to do that. So do you think that you will have any opportunities for our local community to be employed outside of the contracting, the vendors that you're looking to share in with?
Yeah, I mean,
this stumped you?
Yeah, you didn't necessarily stump you. It was like when you said outside of the actual contract,
like
when you hired locally, that creates an opportunity for local communities to get involved in it.
Not always. Like go for jobs, things of that nature, where some people may not be skilled to do some of the work with the vendors that you may be looking to contract with. So I'm looking like, hauling trash. I mean, something. That's what I mean on the local level by that.
Yeah, so, our role is going to be professional services, construction management, so we're not going to have a lot of direct employees. We will be contracting most of what we do. Our job is to manage the overall process. But that doesn't mean that there might not be some opportunities for things like that. We do have general conditions to manage, like you said, dumpsters, trash,
right,
portable toilets that we can be more responsible for direct hire. A lot of times they're through service companies, but we can certainly influence, where they may hire from.
Yeah. And my other question is more on the financial side. I know I talked to Vice President Green, but this price tag, and what, if I'm correct, did you tell me that this was already allocated here for this?
So the funding for the F&B field upgrades was allocated already in last year's budget, and then we just did budget reallocations to bring the encumbrances forward because they weren't
Rolled
spent
it forward. Gotcha.
And there were allocations in the 2024 budget as well, and the project is divided that the last allocation is anticipated in the 2025 budget. So it's a 3 budget year event for the capital project that it is.
Gotcha. I just wanted to be clear on that. That's a pretty hefty price tag too. And to the additions that you guys are making is, I see the MLB had some say in this regarding that it had to have these upgrades. Is this something that's typically done to all of the fields that you got? Is this something?
Yeah, I can't speak to all the fields and what state they were in when their facilities were built. The folks from the Senators would probably be able to give you more technical information.
You just doing the work.
Well, I do know that our firm, when our company has done similar required upgrades at the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs facility in the last year. So I do know that Major League Baseball is kind of looking at each facility independently and requiring them to make certain upgrades to keep those teams playing in those facilities.
Right.
So my answer to your question, I think, would be yes. They are kind of mandating what they do, but I believe that park is out in Lehigh Valley is fairly newer. It's a little newer than the F&B field, so they might have had certain things that were already part of what they were doing. So I do know the locker room facilities, which is a big part of this project, were a major part of that upgrade.
Okay. Thank you. No further questions. Would you add something?
I think we have. Go ahead.
Who are you?
My name's Kevin Culp. I'm the president of the Harrisburg Senators, and thank you guys for listening to us tonight and having us on your agenda. Just to reinforce what they were saying, yeah, Major League Baseball created new facility standards back in 2020 when the agreement between Major and Minor League Baseball ended, and Major League Baseball took that opportunity to kind of take over the governance of Minor League Baseball. And when they did that, one of the first things they decided to do was to create new facility standards that allowed the future of Major League Baseball to be able to work better in the facilities. And when they did that, they came in and they hired a firm to do a formal audit of our facility to see where we were in relation to what the standards were. And that kind of gave us a blueprint of where we needed to get. City Island's a little challenged because we are in a flood zone. We had to account for a lot of different things. It's not as easy as busting down a wall and just increasing square footage, which a lot of our issues are square footage. So it's been a process to kind of design something that was going to be functional, yet still as economic as we can to stay in the good graces of Major League Baseball. The alternative, if we weren't able to get to compliance, is that they would just strip away our team. They did that. And one of the first things they did is they went from 160 affiliated teams down to 120. And because of our relationship with the Nationals, and we had a good relationship and still do, we were not subject to contraction, but our friends in Trenton and Frederick and Hagerstown and Williamsport, they all were part of the 40 that were contracted at that time. So the whole point that we wanted to make sure we put together a plan that would establish compliance. And this is a critical step, obviously, to get the ball rolling into actual work getting done. We've worked really hard with city administrators and the mayor, and I know you guys have been great in getting us to this step, but it's critical that we kind of get the ball started so Major League Baseball sees progress. And we are on a very, very tight timeline, obviously, to get to 25 opening day. But yeah, I wanted to kind of give you guys a little bit of background. Happy to answer any questions about the background of kind of how we got here, if there are any.
Do any council members have any additional questions?
I do, but for the sake of time, I could reach out via email or give your office a call if you have. I get in contact with my clerk and get your information.
Sure,
and
happy to.
Just to ask some offside questions.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. I am recommending that Resolution 14 of 2024 be added to our next legislative agenda. Please, Mr. Parker. And with that, we will move on to Resolution 15 of 2024. Mr. Parker, can you please read that in?
Yes. Resolution 15 of 2024. A resolution authorizing the city of Harrisburg to negotiate and enter into a professional services agreement with Ewing Cole to serve as architect for the certain City Island improvements and facility upgrades to the city-owned stadium presently known as FNB Field.
Thank you very much. Do we have anybody here from the administration that would like to give us more information on Resolution 15 of 2024?
Yes. So Resolution 15 would be the architectural firm of Ewing & Cole, and as the resolution states, this would be the firm that we would try and get contracted to, draft up all the prints and give us the roadmap on what we'll be doing here for the next, foreseeable future. If you have any specific questions, I think we should probably go to Zoom and we can get some answers from them directly.
Yes, we're going to go to Zoom, and please state your name and who you're working for, and then give us a little bit more information on what you are proposing to do as architect.
My name is Edgar Smith. I'm an architect with Ewing Cole.
Hello,
hi,
good evening.
I'm Craig Schmidt. I'm also an architect with Ewing Cole.
Good evening to you both. The floor is yours to give us any extra information that City Council and the public needs to make a sound decision.
Sure. And Craig, step in at any point here. We've been working with the Nationals, with the Senators for a number of months to develop what they call the Player Development League upgrades to the ballpark to meet the Major League.
Oh no, he froze. So you might want to step in, Mr.
Well,
Schumer.
I guess I'll step in.
Yeah.
So I think Kevin Culp from the Senators summed it up pretty well in terms of the background about the requirement for these upgrades. What he didn't say is that Ewing Cole, we were actually the consultant to Major League Baseball when they drafted those new standards, and we are the auditing entity that goes out and audits all 120 minor league parks to make sure that they are compliant. Kevin approached us, because of our background and our expertise in this area, Kevin approached us to start working on some concept schematic level plans to how we would propose to renovate FNB Field to make it compliant with the new standards. The Senators are not the only team we're working with. We are just finishing up the similar renovations at the Reading Phillies ballpark just down the road. We already completed renovations at the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs. We're working with several other teams on the East Coast, including Wilmington, Delaware, and Lakewood, New Jersey. So we're very familiar with what needs to be done, and are sort of quick to get to a solution and produce the technical drawings that are necessary to execute this with your contractor. So as Kevin mentioned, we are looking to move ahead with the final stages of the design phases, where we draw up all the technical drawings, and then it gets put out to bid, and then construction starts. And as Kevin said, the project by Major League Baseball's mandate, the renovations need to be 100% done by April of 2025, the beginning of the baseball season next year. So that may seem like a long way away because that's still a year away, but it's not when you think about the time we need to finish doing the drawings, making the drawings for the time to go out to bid. And then, you can't start construction until the last baseball game is played in September, and then they can start construction. So you have a very finite window of time to complete the construction from September through April.
Thank you very much. I don't have any questions right now, so I am going to see if any of my fellow council members have any questions. I'm going to start with Councilwoman Davis. Do you have any questions?
Thank you, Councilwoman Ball. I would need to just do it.
I'm not sure if your mic's on. I'm so sorry, Councilwoman. There you go. I didn't mean to cut you off. I apologize.
Thank you. I would like to refrain from questioning right now until I have an opportunity to just do some reading and a little research. So no questions right now. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you. Vice President Green.
Thank you. I really don't have any questions for your team at the moment. Just kind of to recap, you said that you worked with MLB to help create the standards, and you've been working on the standards, and you're the ones that will audit the standards. Correct?
That's right.
So kind of seems like a no-brainer that you'd be the one to do the work. So it's nice. I don't have any questions.
Kevin made a good choice.
Well, it was, I believe, when they put that, we were in the middle of a pandemic. We were going through an administration change. We knew with the mayoral administration, and enlisting the help of Craig and his team to create a conceptual design early on was critical to be able to show the city administration kind of what it would take to get to where we needed to get. And they were going to be the best ones, and for me to be able to lean on to give us something that would get us to compliance and know best how to do it the most efficiently, since they were so intimately familiar with what those standards were.
I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
Makes sense. You're not going to tell your own work, no. No, President Bowers.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you for joining us this evening. I do not have any questions.
Thank you. Councilman Rodriguez.
No questions at this time. Just want to do a bit deeper of a dive. Thank you.
Councilman Jones.
Same here. I did have opportunity to look through some of the exhibits and what you guys actually bring to the table, but I just want to put a little more keen of an eye on it before I have any more questions for you. All right.
Thank you so much. I don't have any questions either. I also need to look over some things, but we appreciate you all being here tonight and giving us an in-depth presentation of what there is to expect. And we know how important it is that we, to get the field updated to its mandated state. So thank you. With that will, please, can we add Resolution 15 of 2024 to the next legislative agenda? And that concludes the business of the Parks and Recreation and Enrichment Department. Thank you, everybody. I'll give it back to President Bowers.
Thank you. We'll now move forward with our meeting agenda to public comment. Just a few housekeeping notes before we begin. Please state your name and your address for the meeting record. If you don't feel comfortable sharing your address, please share the vicinity in which you live within the city. You will have 4 minutes to share your comments. Mr. Parker will serve as our timekeeper. I'll begin to my right. Is there anyone that would like to offer public comment?
Good evening. My name is Brian Kiesling. I live in Midtown. About a dozen of us came here tonight representing a local Palestinian-led coalition to implore you to introduce and pass our resolution calling for an immediate and permanent ceasefire in Gaza. Our coalition is part of a larger statewide coalition, which is in turn part of a larger national movement, which is in turn part of a global movement. that is demanding an end to the slaughter, excuse me, and an end to the slaughter and the liberation of the Palestinian people. I'm speaking to you today because this is an emergency. Over 30,000 Palestinian civilians and counting have been murdered, 70% of whom are women and children. Gaza is facing a famine and life-saving aid is being cut off to the people. We are coming to you because our federal and state governments have failed us. They are not listening to the people. The majority of Americans want a ceasefire, and this is true across the board. Polling shows a majority of people across all races, religions, and even political parties support a ceasefire, but our government is not listening. Over 70 cities in the US has passed these resolutions to put pressure on our government to listen to the people and do the right thing, and we want Harrisburg to join them and be on the leading edge of this movement. Harrisburg would be the 7th state capital city to pass this resolution, and we would also join Erie and State College, which have passed them. Other PA third-class cities working on resolutions are Allentown, Bethlehem, and Easton, and Philly and Pittsburgh are both working on resolutions as well. Harrisburg residents have family in Palestine. Their tax dollars are paying for the weapons that our country sends over to be used against their own families. That is the definition of cruelty. We see tonight how much of a struggle it is to get the Broad Street Market up and running again, how hard you're working on that. That's one building. And that was a fire. Imagine if instead of a fire, it was a bomb. And instead of a bomb, and instead of one building, it was this entire city. And that this city was also being bombed in 2008, 2012, and 2014. Harrisburg would be begging the world to send us help, and we have an opportunity to do that for Gaza. This is one of the defining humanitarian emergencies of our time. It is a racial justice crisis, it is a feminist crisis, it's an environmental crisis, and it is a local crisis. We strongly urge our City Council to rise to the occasion and work with us to pass this urgent resolution for an immediate and permanent ceasefire. And we would also like to invite the public to join us next Tuesday, March 12th at 4:30 p.m. at McCormick Riverfront Library, where we will be hosting a teach-in for Palestine to help give people more information about this. We really look forward to working with you on passing this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else to my right that would like to offer public comment? Okay. Seeing and hearing no one, anyone in the middle section? Seeing and hearing no one, anyone to my left? Seeing and hearing no one, the time is 8:32 p.m. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. We stand adjourned.